37%. Chapter 181. Are you going to knock me unconscious in the bath while I am taking a bath? Yunshi. That little girl went to the back mountain to pick flowers. She said she would give you a bath when you come back. After hearing Xiao Chen's inquiry, Xiaolinger turned around and said. Also at this time, almost as soon as Xiaolinger finished speaking, Yunshi appeared in the inner courtyard carrying a flower basket. Master. Seeing Xiao Chen standing in the courtyard, Yunshi suddenly showed a look of surprise, and then ran over in a hurry. You're not hurt, are you? After trotting over, Yunshi checked Xiao Chen's body and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw that he had no missing arms or legs. You girl, how can this young master be hurt? Seeing Yun Zai's nervous look, Xiao Chen couldn't help but touch her head. I think it was before. Every time he returned to the family, he would suffer some injuries. This little girl would ask this out of habit. Well, this little girl is Yunshi, and she is also the little girl who loves Xiao Chen the most. After Yunshi greeted Xiao Chen, Xiaomeier pulled her over to introduce him, which immediately made Yun Zai's face turn red. But after these polite remarks, Yunshi quickly became mingled with Bai Suxin and others, but she couldn't help but have a look of envy in her eyes. She has been with Xiao Chen the longest, but there has been no substantial progress between the two of them. Except last month, she mustered up the courage to help Xiao Chen bathe and change clothes, and there were just a few ripples between the two of them. But that's all. And whether it was Xiaomeier or Bai Suxin and others in front of her, each of them had become Xiao Chen's real woman. It's all a lie if she doesn't feel envious in her heart. Master, I have picked a lot of petals. How about, when I put out the bath water, let Yunshi catch the wind and wash away the dust for the master. Feeling a little disappointed in her heart, Yunshi blushed and summoned up the courage to ask Xiao Chen. As these words fell, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became a little quiet. Xiaomeier, Mirong Qingshe and others all looked over with surprised expressions. This made Yun Zai's face turn red to the point of bleeding, and her little hands grabbed the corners of her dress uneasily. I was afraid of being rejected by Xiao Chen on the spot. Xiao Chen was slightly startled when he heard this, and when he saw Yunshi like this, he also realized something. Well, since you girl is so thoughtful, go ahead and make preparations now. After a moment of silence, a gentle smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face. He reached out and rubbed Yun Zai's little head and said, Thank you, master. I'm just going to prepare bath water. After hearing that Xiao Chen did not refuse. This time, Yun Zai's face was flushed with excitement. After leaving these words with a cheerful expression, she ran to prepare the bath water. Sir, although Yunshi is a bit young, she really likes you. Seeing Yunshi trotting away, Mirong Qingshe said something meaningful after a moment of silence. Although she had only known Yunshi for a few days, she still liked this energetic little girl very much. And the other party, Zeng came over secretly and asked her if she was too young, so Xiao Chen didn't eat her. This made Mirong Qingshe a little confused as to how to answer. She couldn't figure out Xiao Chen's thoughts, so she could only hint like this. That little girl's situation is a bit special, but I will give her an explanation. Xiao Chen waved his hand and replied with a smile, also understanding the meaning of Mirong Qingshui's words. Although because of the existence of the bloodline seal, he can't kill Yunshi now. But something. Well, I should be able to make some changes, which can satisfy the little girl and prevent her from having random thoughts. After the thought fell, Xiao Chen also made a decision. Next, after telling Xiaomeier and others that he was going to visit Daqian Imperial City, Xiao Chen walked towards the wing. Xiaomeier, Mirong Qingshe and others were wise enough not to follow them at this time, because tonight was their home court. Now let Yunshi and Xiao Chen get along well. After all, that little girl is quite shy and can't let go when there are many people. Here is another picture of Yun Zai's enhanced version in black clothes, also made by the author. I posted the original picture in the comment area. I don't know if it can be displayed. Phew, finally put it away. Looking at the warm water that had been placed in the bathtub, there were still various petals she picked floating around. Yunshi couldn't help but let out a breath, and her expression became a little nervous and expectant. Wait a minute. Should I have a showdown with the young master directly, or should I jump in when the young master isn't paying attention? I'm so confused. Which one should I choose? Thinking of the plan she was going to carry out next, Yun Zai's heart couldn't help but beat rapidly. Crunch. Just when Yunshi was still struggling. As a sound came, the door that was originally opened was suddenly closed. Young master, Startled by the movement, Yunxi turned around quickly. Seeing Xiao Chen already in the wing and closing the door behind her back, Yunxi was frightened again. Master, why did you come here so quickly? She watched blankly as Xiao Chen walked up to her. Yunxi stuttered a little when she came to her senses. My heart was beating even more violently, and I was almost so nervous that my legs gave out on the spot. How? The bath water hasn't been put away yet. Xiao Chen smiled faintly when he heard this, then approached Yunxi and said with a magnetic voice. Or daughter, are you going to knock me unconscious in the bath while I'm taking a bath? Ah! Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Yunxi screamed in fright, and her heart beat faster. Speak the truth. 2 days ago, I heard Murong Qingshe talk about what Xiao Chen experienced at Wanwaman and how he lost his virginity to Michelle Yeoh and others. Yunxi has indeed thought about it. Can you get a pack of aphrodisiacs and soak them in the bath water? Once the medicine takes effect, won't she be able to? But she later denied it. After all, according to Murong Qingshui's description, Xiao Chen is now omnipotent and can cure anyone with a raise of his hand. And the past few days, she also saw with her own eyes that Xiao Chen turned a willow stake into a magnificent big sister. How could a young master with such incredible means fail to see the inferior aphrodisiac she bought? What, did I tell you right? Seeing that Yun Zai's face was so red that she could pinch blood. Xiao Chen's lips curled up slightly, and he couldn't help teasing this girl. Ah, I didn't. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Yunxi quickly raised his head and said. However, seeing the smile on Xiao Chen's lips, there was no doubt at all. Only then did Yunxi realize that Xiao Chen was teasing her. Master, are you good or bad? Looking at Xiao Chen's eyes as bright as stars, Yunxi felt as if he was risking his life after saying these words. The next moment she took a deep breath and puffed out her somewhat sizable chest. He said with a serious look on his face. Master, I want to be your woman. After saying that, Yunxi couldn't help but lower her head, her heart almost beating out of her chest. And Xiao Chen was also slightly stunned. Obviously he didn't expect that this little girl would have a showdown with him. Silly girl, ever since you were my young master's personal maid, you have always been my young master's woman. After coming back to his senses, Xiao Chen raised his right hand and couldn't help but scratch the other person's nose, and replied in a loving and gentle voice. 38%. Chapter 182. Hey, you guys think, can this little girl Yunxi bear it? Master, that's not what I meant. After hearing Xiao Chen's answer, Yunxi gritted his teeth, raised his head, and said with a trembling voice. Yunxi wants to become the young master's real woman, just like Sister Qingshe and Sister Mayer. When the young master feels uncomfortable, you can be the young master's punching bag and let the young master vent his anger. To the end, Yun Zai's voice became softer and softer, and she lowered her head in shame. And Xiao Chen, everyone was shocked after hearing this. Let off some steam. What the hell? He said this as if he was a beast who often abused Qingshe and the others. Actually, the young master has never touched you because of the blood seal on your body. It needs to lock your primordial yin in order to purify and refine the desolate moon demon cloud rabbit bloodline in your body. If an outsider wants to invade you, this seal will erupt with destructive power, enough to obliterate the powerful celestial human realm in an instant. After hearing Yun Zai's words, Xiao Chen said calmly. These few words fell. Yun Zai's little face suddenly turned pale, and then she raised her head in despair. Young master, so, before the bloodline is awakened, Yunxi can't be your woman. This bloodline seal in her body. According to what Xiao Chen said, it will take at least 10 years, or at most 20 years, to be unblocked. That being said, if she wants to be Xiao Chen's woman, she may have to wait for a long time. This was a little hard for her to accept. Don't worry, I will find the treasure containing the power of the moon as soon as possible, so that you, little girl, can awaken the power of blood in your body in advance. Seeing Yun Zai's devastated look, Xiao Chen smiled and touched the back of his head. Suddenly he leaned close to Yun Zai's ear and spoke in a seductive voice. Of course, if Xiao Yunxi can't wait any longer, the young master can teach you something special. Between men and women, yin and yang don't necessarily have to meet in order for both parties to be physically and mentally happy. Sometimes, some trivial tricks can also find the true meaning of life. It depends on you, whether you are willing to try it. Boom. Hearing Xiao Chen's devilish whisper, there was a roar in Yun Zai's mind. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Chen with wide eyes. It was obviously the first time that he heard such shocking words. How? Isn't Xiao Yunxi unwilling? Looking at this red face, Xiao Chen slightly raised the other person's chin, as if a devil was looking at a little angel. I used to think that Yunxi was still a little green, but now she seems to have a different feeling. Such a youthful look. Compared to ripe peaches such as Cayenne and Michelle Yeoh, they seem to be more able to stimulate the secretion of hormones in his body. Why didn't I feel this way last month, but now I have this thought? Is it possible? Is he really a beast? Master, I am willing. Hearing Xiao Chen's magnetic voice, he looked up at this handsome face. Yun Zai's heart kept beating, but she finally mustered up the courage and answered nervously but happily. Well, next. Let me teach you well. Seeing Yun Zai's courage to try, Xiao Chen showed a satisfied smile at this moment. Then, 10,000 words will be omitted. Last time I said that my classmate Medusa's red hair didn't look good, but she dyed her hair white again the next day, saying that we could grow old together, and there was no way we could survive this life. Hey, tell me, can this little girl Yunxi bear it? After all, Xiao Chen's stinky brother, that guy. In the courtyard outside the wing, as time goes by. After Xiao Meyer listened to Bai Suxin and others describe what happened in Shiwanda Mountain, her eyes wandered towards a certain wing room. Then some people said something strangely. But only halfway through her words, she saw several sisters around her looking at her strangely. Only then did Xiao Meyer realize that what she said was a little inappropriate. He quickly coughed and changed his words. I mean, that little girl Yunxi has no cultivation, and that guy Xiao Chen. Bah, that guy Xiao Chen is so strong. If the two of them really get into a fight, this little girl Yunxi will definitely be no match. Should we go over and watch for a while? Lest anything happen to these two people. Not finished yet. The atmosphere in the courtyard became increasingly weird, with Bai Suxin, Michelle Yeoh and others looking a little embarrassed. The next moment, as if he thought of something, a blush appeared on his face. As for Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru, they have no experience in this area. At this time, both of them were staring at each other, obviously not understanding why these senior sisters and these women were there. His expressions became so weird. It looks a little shameful and a little embarrassed, but vaguely, and a little eager to try. Xiao Meyer, you are so naughty. When the atmosphere became a little awkward, Xiaolinger on the side, couldn't help but joke again. Being able to find opportunities to attack her former rivals was something she never tired of doing. Xiaolinger, look for a fight. Hearing Xiaolinger's words, Xiao Meyer suddenly raised her eyebrows and rushed over to catch Xiaolinger. It's obviously this guy. He made her speak with a look, but now he told her she was so sexy. This is really because people's hearts are not ancient, and the sisters' boat can capsize at any time. Hiss. Just when the two of them were playing around. As a hole suddenly opened in the sky above the inner courtyard, Cayenne's cold and fiery figure also fell into the courtyard below. Xiao Meyer and Xiaolinger quickly stopped playing and stood up one by one to look at the colorful smoke in front of them. Sister Cayenne is back so soon. Seeing the appearance of Cayenne, the eldest sister, Marong Qingshe and others all said hello. He asked with some surprise in his voice. Only an hour has passed since Cayenne left. Destroyed the Zhenin Palace in such a short period of time. Zhenin Prince's mansion is not far from Wangzhou, so we won't be delayed for long. Cayenne nodded when she heard this. Her eyes immediately swept across the courtyard, and when she didn't see Xiao Chen's figure, she asked in surprise. Where's the young master? Although she can lock the opponent with soul thoughts, under normal circumstances, out of respect for Xiao Chen, she will not do so. Yunxi has been waiting for that stinky brother to bathe and change clothes. The two of them have been in the side room for an hour. After Cayenne finished speaking, Xiao Meyer immediately spoke, as if she wanted to encourage Cayenne to take them in to find the two of them. But feeling Cayenne's powerful aura, she gave up after thinking about it. Is there any way, sir, to break that seal? Seeing the wing pointed by Xiao Meyer, Cayenne's eyes couldn't help but condense. She once asked Xiao Chen why she never touched Yunxi. Was it because she was not interested in Yunxi? Xiao Chen also explained the reason to her, and she couldn't help but click her tongue after hearing it. Obviously, he didn't expect that Yun Zai's blood seal could have this effect. But now, the two of them stayed in the private room for an hour, so they couldn't have been scrubbing all the time. The skin would probably be gone after scrubbing for so long. So Xiao Chen must have found some way to break the blood seal on Yunxi. When the thought falls, Cayenne couldn't help but feel a little curious. The power of the Holy Soul broke through Xiao Chen's blockade and spied on the scene in that wing. This sight instantly made her eyes widen, and her mouth couldn't help but open at this moment. 38%. Chapter 183. After the young master got a new sister, his interest in me has waned. Hiss, can you still use your mouth? Seeing the scene unfolding in the wing room, Kyan felt as if she was seeing a new world at this moment. She used to compete with Xiao Chen. The postures, although the moves are ever changing, they are all quite satisfactory and never go out of their way. Certainly, I don't know if it's because Xiao Chen respects her more, or because she hasn't studied this aspect thoroughly. So I never thought that I could use my mouth to fight. After all, isn't the mouth used for eating, and at most for kissing? How can you do this? But now after seeing the situation in the room, Kyan couldn't help but open her mouth. He seemed to be gesturing. Whether he could swallow it. At this moment, Kyan was confused, and of course she was also excited. Perhaps, when Xiao Chen is free, she can also try it. Sister Kyan, did something happen inside? Seeing Kyan's shocked and excited expression, Murong Qingshe asked with some doubts. Nothing. It's just Mr. So bad. Hearing Murong Qingshui's words, Kyan smiled slightly at this time, and her eyes became a little dangerous. There are such novel moves, but they are not even taught to us. Next time, you join forces with me and teach him a lesson. Murong Qingshe was confused when she heard this, and she didn't know what other tricks Xiao Chen was hiding. However, after hearing that Xiao Chen could be taught a lesson, Murong Qingshe nodded awkwardly, with a blush appearing on his face. This scene made Xiao Meyer and others slightly stunned. Sister Kyan, can I join you and teach that stinky brother Xiao Chen a lesson? Xiao Meyer was the first to react after thinking about it, and asked a little embarrassedly. As long as the young master doesn't have any objections, it doesn't matter to me. Kyan waved her hands when she heard this and said indifferently. But before she finished her sentence, she seemed to see something again, and her pupils couldn't help but widen at this moment. Out. When they heard these words suddenly coming out of Kyan, Murong Qingshe, Xiao Meyer and others' eyes lit up slightly at this moment. As the young master about to come out. Hiss, you actually ate it all. Regarding the questions asked by Murong Qingshe and others, Kyan actually answered incorrectly at this time. This sentence came out suddenly and confused them again. What ate it all? Wait a moment, the young master and the little girl are about to come out. After taking a deep breath and calming down, Kyan said in a somewhat uneasy voice that today's incident had a great impact on her. She never imagined that not only could she look like this, but she could also eat it. A smell. That little girl. How could she swallow it? Could it be that Xiao Chen had forced the other party just now, so this girl had to compromise? After being severely scolded by me, classmate Medusa finally dyed her hair back so that it looks pleasing to the eye. She really doesn't know her family throne if she doesn't show off her power. After several people waited for half an hour, Xiao Chen then opened the door and led Yunxi out. Yun's eyes' pretty face was red, and even though she had taken a shower, her whole body was still steaming. Ahem, they're all here. As soon as he walked out of the room, he saw a bunch of beauties, and Xiao Chen suddenly felt a lot of pressure. Especially when he saw Kyan, his eyes were burning. Xiao Chen seemed to be in a state of excitement, and suddenly felt like running away. You stinky brother, you stayed in there with Yunxi for so long. Did you two do something bad? After Xiao Chen spoke, Xiao Meyer came over and made a joke, which made Yunxi embarrassed. No, the young master and I didn't do anything bad. Just when her fingers were about to button up her dress, Yunxi raised her head and said with some lack of confidence. But Yunxi opened his mouth. Suddenly, Xiao Meyer and others frowned slightly, and each of them looked at the little girl Yunxi suspiciously. Yunxi, why do you speak with such a strange accent? There's also a faint strange smell. Xiaolinger was closer to Yunxi. After speaking, she couldn't help but sniff, and her expression became more and more suspicious. It smells a little fishy. Sister Linger, you are so mean. Yunxi has to go and get busy first. Before Xiaolinger finished speaking, Yunxi left these words in shame and trotted out of the courtyard. This scene, Xiaolinger, Murong Qingshe and others were stunned again and again. Normally, I have never seen this girl react like this. Is this because she was possessed by something wrong? There is indeed a fishy smell in Yunzai's mouth, and it seems that she has smelled it somewhere. Looking at Yunxi walking away, Xiaolinger said doubtfully. Then he looked at his nemesis. Seeing Xiao Meyer seeming to think of something, she was looking down at Xiao Chen with wide eyes, and then she covered her mouth in shock. A flash of light flashed in Xiaolinger's mind, and she couldn't help but widen her eyes at this moment. Brother Xiao Chen. You, how could you let Yunxi eat that thing? As these words fell, the two people showed shocked expressions. Then think of Kaiyan's inexplicable words just now, and what they themselves have experienced personally. In addition to Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru, there were also experienced people like Bai Suxin and Michelle Yeoh. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes, obviously realizing something. Ahem, the essence of kidneys can nourish the skin. Accelerate the condensation of blood power. Yunxi and I are just doing business. What are you all thinking? Seeing these women looking at him with wide eyes, Xiao Chen coughed twice and explained shamelessly. But it's okay if he doesn't explain it. Once he explains it, Kaiyan gets the chance. Young master, do you really mean what you said? After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Kaiyan walked up to Xiao Chen and slid her fingers over the other person's body. Since this thing is so effective, master can't just take advantage of that little girl. How about, let me try it on a few sisters first. After saying that, Kaiyan couldn't help but lick her lips. Her seductive look immediately sent chills down Xiao Chen's back. Calm down. The essence of the kidneys is the source of innate qi. Once the loss is too much, it will easily damage the foundation. Seeing Kaiyan like this, Xiao Chen took a sharp breath, took 2 steps back and said with a wary expression. Snake nature is inherently licentious. He didn't dare to have too much fun with Kaiyan before, because he was afraid that the other party would be stimulated and become out of control. I didn't expect, just average. Kaiyan's enthusiasm for that aspect also made him feel numb. Now that the other party accidentally breaks through this kind of thing, then he will have to be squeezed dry by the other party every minute. Yeah, after hearing Xiao Chen's words, Kaiyan did not accept this trick at all and stood in front of Xiao Chen and blew her breath like a blue. I see that the young master's vitality and blood are as strong as a dragon. No one in the same realm can compare with him. I can't see the slightest bit of vanity. The ancient great emperor once said, when the internal fire is strong, the qi and blood are like dragons. If you don't adjust them properly, you will probably suffocate your body. So, let me take care of the young master's health. Or, after the young master got a new sister, his interest in me has waned. 38%. Chapter 184. Hey, brother Xiao Chen was so domineering and manly just now. Woman, you are playing with fire. Kaiyan's words sounded a bit resentful at first, but in reality they were quite provocative. Xiao Chen took a deep breath at this time, and his eyes gradually became aggressive. Since you know that this young master is as strong as a dragon, you shouldn't provoke me like this. As he said that, Xiao Chen's lips curled up slightly, turning his back on the guests at this moment. Directly in front of Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeyer and others, Kaiyan, the Medusa queen, was picked up. Kaiyan immediately let out an exclamation, and Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeyer and others all widened their eyes at this moment. Master, what do you want to do? After being picked up by Xiao Chen, Kaiyan's heart couldn't help beating rapidly, and at this moment she asked, pretending to be confused. But there was a look of excitement on his face and a hint of charm between his brows. It still revealed that she was no longer an ignorant girl. What do you want to do? What will this young master do next? This time, let me give you a lesson. Who is better, you, the witch, or I, the master? Hearing Kaiyan's knowing words, a sneer appeared on Xiao Chen's face, and he said very coldly at this moment. After saying that, before Kaiyan could say anything, Xiao Chen hugged the other person, turned around and walked into the side room. Don't you all come in. This time, I will take advantage of her. Let her know that flowers, if they don't experience the devastation of the storm, how can they have the opportunity to bloom more redly? As the last words fell, in the confused eyes of Xiaomeyer, Murong Qingshe and others, Xiao Chen closed the door directly with a thought. A group of beauties outside were left stunned, and it was obvious that they had not yet fully recovered. And in the wing room, with Xiao Chen's evil fire, as Xiao Chen's anger is ignited, there is bound to be a brutal fight. It is likely to surpass any previous contest, and there may even be a lose-lose situation. Hiss, little brother Xiao Chen was so domineering and manly just now. Seeing the closed door in front of her, Xiaomeyer looked a little excited, and a blush appeared on her face. He muttered something to himself at this moment. Sister Kaiyan is so happy. It makes me want to be treated so domineeringly and coldly by brother Xiao Chen. No, I really want to rush in and join them now, and let little brother Xiao Chen have as much fun as he wants. Snapped. Just when Xiao Meier was addicted to Xiao Chen's domineering style, she was so excited that she started talking nonsense, her legs were trembling and she couldn't stand still. After Xiao Linger on the side came to her senses, she finally couldn't stand it any longer, and slapped her face. Xiao Meier immediately let out an exclamation. Xiao Meier, can you stop being so coquettish? I'm almost embarrassed by you. Hey, Xiao Linger, you dare to hit me. Feeling a burst of pain coming from her buttocks, Xiao Meier turned around and stared at Xiao Linger angrily. Your face is redder than mine, and your breathing is faster than mine. When I saw it, I fantasized about it several times in my heart. I just had the courage to say it out. How dare you call me coquettish? Then if you don't say what you desire in your heart, should you call it mensao? After hearing Xiao Meier's words, Xiao Linger's face turned red. Even Bai Suxin, Marong Qingshe and others turned away with guilty conscience at this moment, as if they were comprehended by the connotation of these two sentences. Xiao Meier, you're such a slut. I'm looking for a beating. Feeling that she couldn't defeat Xiao Meier, Xiao Linger could only use force to seek justice. For a while, the fighting was raging inside the wing, and it was extremely lively outside. This scene, Bai Suxin and others felt helpless. After I forced her to dye her hair black, Medusa actually offered to cook for me, but there was something wrong with her eyes, which made me lie. Dakion Imperial City, Zion Chamber of Commerce Headquarters. In a magnificent meeting hall, many senior officials of the Zion Chamber of Commerce were sitting. A heavy atmosphere continued to spread in the hall, as if some important meeting was being held at this time. Zi Luo, why did you decide without authorization to mobilize all the resources and stock of all Zion Chamber of Commerce branches to Dakion Imperial City? After this atmosphere lasted for a while, one of the old men in rich clothes said in a low voice. This person, he is the great elder of Zion Chamber of Commerce, Zizan, who has the 8th level cultivation of heaven and human. Apart from Zikang, the president of the Zion Chamber of Commerce, he is the most powerful person in terms of qualifications and strength. In order to welcome someone's arrival, when Zizan finished speaking, Zi Luo raised her head slightly and spoke calmly. Is it possible that Cheng Cheng is the young man named Xiao that you mentioned a while ago that you invited in Tiandu City? Zixuan frowned slightly when he heard this, and continued with some dissatisfaction. Although this guy gave the Chamber of Commerce a batch of supreme-grade elixirs, it did make the Chamber of Commerce a lot of profit during this period. But you invited the other party to come to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters, and now so much time has passed, but this guy hasn't even seen a ghost. Is it someone who doesn't take Zion Chamber of Commerce seriously? Think of this. Zixuan felt quite dissatisfied with this young man he had never met before. After all, the Zion Chamber of Commerce is also one of the 5 top forces in the Great Qian dynasty. The comprehensive wealth can even be said to be stronger than that of the Dakion royal family. But their Chamber of Commerce has extended the invitation for so long. As an honorary elder of Zion Chamber of Commerce, Xiao Chen has not only been reluctant to come to Zion Chamber of Commerce to show off. There wasn't even a word of news. It was really a bit arrogant. Mr. Xiao, maybe something important is involved, so you can't come to the headquarters. After hearing Zixuan's words, Ziluo frowned slightly and said in a low voice. During this period, I believe you all know something about the destruction of Burning Flame Valley, right? As Ziluo suddenly said these words, the expressions of everyone present changed. Zikang, who was sitting at the head of the hall, looked over with a solemn expression. Ziluo, what you mean is that the destruction of the entire family in Fenyan Valley has something to do with Mr. Xiao. Or, it's probably the master behind him who took action. After the Fenyan Valley was wiped out, he also went to watch it afterwards. The entire mountain gate was almost reduced to ruins, and even some valuable things were looted completely. This made him wonder, which old Saint Realm guy was so poor that he didn't even let go of bricks and mortar. Whether Mr. Xiao or the master behind this matter was responsible for this matter, Ziluo can't make a conclusion on this. But I can be sure that the destruction of Fenyan Valley must have something to do with him. Ziluo's expression became solemn when she heard this, and she immediately told everything she had investigated during this time. When we were in Tiandu City, young Master Xiao got acquainted with people from the Wanhua sect, and even had a grudge with the young master of Fenyan Valley. After the auction ended, Mr. Xiao went to Wanhua Gate. There was a brutal battle at the 10,000 Flowers Gate behind, and some people even witnessed thunder tribulation coming around the 10,000 Flowers Gate, and it was suspected that someone had broken through to the Saint Realm level. And the burning flame valley happened to be destroyed by the strong Saint realm on that day. So I make a bold guess. It was probably Duan Yantian and others who invaded Wanhua Gate, but they didn't expect that Mr. Xiao was also at Wanhua Gate, so they were besieged and killed by them. Afterwards, a certain strong man among them broke through to the Saint realm, and that night he took action and completely wiped out the Burning Flame Valley. According to my father and elders' past investigation, Burning Flame Valley was destroyed by a strong fire attribute person. And all the members of the Wanhua sect practice Ziyan Kung Fu. If we speculate like this, it is very likely that it was the Queen Medusa next to Mr. Xiao. 38%. Chapter 185. Even the queen of the snake tribe has to kneel down and sing conquest to him. Hey, it's really possible. After Zi Luo finished her speculation, the expressions of Zi Kang, Zi Xuan and others changed, and they all took a deep breath. That day, the flame aura remaining in the Burning Flame Valley not only made them feel horrified, but also seemed to have a little bit of familiarity. It seems like they are the same as before. The aura of Queen Medusa that I came into contact with did have some similarities. So, if Queen Medusa is promoted to Saint Realm, then Zion Chamber of Commerce must make good friends with Mr. Xiao, because only the other party can dispel Queen Medusa's hostility towards us. When Zi Kang, Zi Xuan and others' expressions changed, Zi Luo took a deep breath and reminded solemnly. Zion Chamber of Commerce. In the past, there were caravans in the Endless Desert, and some mercenaries were needed to collect resources. The Endless Desert is the territory of the Snake people. Therefore, whether it is these caravans or some strong mercenaries, they have more or less had grudges with the Snake people. It is also very common for people under his command to be killed or injured. Therefore, the relationship between the Snake tribe and the Zion Chamber of Commerce is not considered friendly. Of course, there won't be any blood feud. But just in case, precautions must be taken first. What if the Saint Realm strongman who destroyed the Burning Flame Valley was really Queen Medusa who broke the shackles? If the other party is hostile to Zion Merchant, the consequences will be absolutely unimaginable and terrifying. So, you want to use all the resources of the major branches to please this Mr. Xiao. After his expression changed, Zizan took a deep breath and asked with a twitching face. The resources and items of each major branch, even some inventory resources. The total value must be tens of millions of spiritual crystals. If such a huge amount of resources were given away without return, it would be a huge loss for the Zion Chamber of Commerce. Don't worry, although Zi Luo is still young, she won't turn away. It's better to wait until Mr. Xiao arrives, and then we'll make a decision based on the situation. Seeing the distressed look on Zixuan's face, Zi Luo shook her head slightly and spoke calmly. What if Queen Medusa really broke through to the Saint Realm? Then pay some price to dispel the other party's hostility, or even win over the other party. It's more or less worth it. If Queen Medusa has not yet broken through to the Saint Realm, she can also get more elixirs by giving her profits to Xiao Chen. This is also not a loss. In that case, Zi Luo, please send another message to Mr. Xiao and ask him to find a time to come to the headquarters as soon as possible. After pondering for a moment, Zi Kang spoke. He heard Zi Luo mentioning Xiao Chen, and he was actually very interested in this evildoer. If the other party is really as capable as Zi Luo said, then the Zion Chamber of Commerce must kiss him. Let's not talk about Mr. Xiao's matter for now. There is another matter to discuss now, which can be said to be related to the fate of the Chamber of Commerce. After saying something to Zi Luo, Zi Kang continued in a solemn voice. Emperor Daqian is preparing to retreat and attack Saint Realm, and the royal family is also preparing to appoint a prince to inherit the throne, so next. Just as Zi Kang was telling the story in a low voice, the messenger jade pendant around his waist lit up slightly at this moment. A message came into his mind, causing his expression to change drastically in an instant. Hiss, Zhenin Prince's mansion. Was destroyed. With his pupils shrinking violently, Zi Kang said subconsciously. What? This caused Zixuan and others' expressions to change dramatically, with disbelief on all of their faces. Zhenin Prince's mansion. This is one of the 5 top forces of the Great Qian dynasty. Not counting wealth, in terms of overall strength, he is basically ranked second. If there is a strong Saint Realm man in charge, he may even be able to confront the royal family of Daqian. But now, is this a force that can be wiped out so suddenly? Are you sure this isn't a joke? President, does the information say which Saint Realm old monster did it? After taking a deep breath, Zixuan asked with a trembling voice. He couldn't think of anyone else who could destroy the power of Zhenin Palace except for the transcendent level powerhouses at the Saint Realm level. I don't know exactly. Zikang shook his head when he heard this and continued in a low voice. But the intelligence said, Zhenin Prince's mansion, like Burning Flame Valley, was destroyed by a strong fire attribute person. The entire palace was reduced to rubble, and all valuable things were taken away. Such similar situations. Obviously, Fenyan Valley and Zhenin Palace should have been destroyed by the same person. And this Saint Realm strongman. Is it simply a grudge against Fenyan Valley and Zhenin Palace, or is it because he wants to attack the 5 major forces for some purpose? In this state of surprise and uncertainty, Zikang and many elders also started discussions. It turned out that classmate Medusa made me food because she wanted me to take her to learn swimming. She also specially changed into new clothes, which scared me. Same intelligence. It was also introduced into the hands of the major forces in the Great Qian dynasty. Fenyan Valley and Zhenin Palace were destroyed one after another, and the entire Great Qian dynasty was filled with panic. In addition, Emperor Dakion was preparing to abdicate and retreat into seclusion, and several princes began to compete for power. At this time, there were some undercurrents surging in Dakion Imperial City, and many princes were even eyeing the Xian Chamber of Commerce. After all, the Xian Chamber of Commerce, now with the destruction of the Zhenin Palace, is only a force second to the royal family. If we can get the support of Xian Chamber of Commerce, no matter which prince wants to ascend the throne, there is a high possibility. Xiao Chen and Qian were unaware of the turmoil caused by the destruction of Fenyan Valley and Zhenin Palace at this time, and they were still fighting inextricably. It's just that after Qian tasted the holy liquid for the first time, not only did she not have any disgust, but she became deeply obsessed with it. Then he started a series of squeezing actions, using all kinds of methods and tricks. This made Xiao Chen cry out. Fortunately, although he was at a disadvantage at the beginning, Xiao Chen relied on his strong recovery and increasingly proficient offensive methods. In the subsequent battles, he gradually gained the upper hand, and his guns were as powerful as a dragon, a tiger, or a tiger, and he could hit the vital point every time. In the end, Qian was killed to the point of being defeated, and she could only kneel in front of him and call for mercy. And Xiao Chen was also more sympathetic, after Qian finally asked for mercy. He just punished the other party 3 times to make this woman understand what would happen if he angered him. Even the queen of the snake people had to kneel down and sing conquest to him. But this time, it was already the next morning. As the door was opened again, Xiao Chen walked out with a calm expression. Discover the outside. A large group of women were looking at him eagerly. There was a bit of resentment between the brows, and there was also a bit of expectation and desire in the eyes, which made Xiao Chen really want to turn around and leave on the spot. Every one of them is crying for food. No matter how strong his body and bones are, he cannot withstand being taken in turn. Brother Xiao Chen, my sister has a piece of land that has been abandoned for several days. How about you take the time to help her irrigate it? Just when everyone is looking at me, I am looking at you. Xiao Meyer was the boldest. She walked directly in front of Xiao Chen with a charming look on her face. That weak and helpless little expression. It seemed that if no one came to irrigate this land, she, a weak woman, would starve to death. Ahem, I have to go to Dakion Imperial City now. I'd better irrigate this land when I have time. Hearing Xiao Meyer's expectant words, Xiao Chen coughed and said seriously. Although it's nice to indulge in extravagant entertainment, you still can't miss the real deal. If not, these 2 come one day, and those 2 come one day. Even if he could bear it, he wouldn't have to do anything else. Just use it as a farm tool to irrigate the land every day. 39%. Chapter 186. Anyone who dares to mess with him will be slapped to death. Brother Xiao Chen rejected his sister so simply. Is it because Sister Meyer is no longer attractive? After hearing Xiao Chen's refusal, Xiao Meyer suddenly looked heartbroken and said sadly. The pitiful look I saw was enough to make countless men feel distressed after seeing her. Seeing Xiao Meyer like this, Xiao Chen suddenly felt helpless. This clan sister seems to like being a demon very much. A text message came from the Xian Chamber of Commerce, asking me to go to the headquarters as soon as possible. So I'm going to go over there and take care of some things first. In battle yesterday, suddenly receiving a message from Zi Luo, Xiao Chen felt a little helpless. It has been almost a month since Zi Luo invited him last. After all, he had a name with Xian Chamber of Commerce, but now he has left him alone for almost a month. Now that the other party invited him for the second time, it would be unreasonable if he didn't go there. Not to mention, Luo mentioned in the text message. Xi'an Chamber of Commerce has prepared a large amount of supplies, but these resources cannot be kept at the headquarters all the time, so he is asked to go there when he is free. That's why Xiao Chen was in a hurry to go to Xi'an Chamber of Commerce, otherwise he could just stay warm for a few more days. Of course, if you guys want to go too, I can take you with me. Looking at Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeier and others, their faces looked a little disappointed and sad. After pondering for a while, Xiao Chen added something, which made several people look ecstatic on the spot. Alas, I still can't bear it after all, so let's take him there together. It just so happened that someone was accompanying him to relieve his fatigue on the way. Brother Xiao Chen, can we really go together? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Xiaomeier said with a look of surprise, and then seemed a little hesitant. Among their group, except for Michelle Yeoh, Bai Sukin and others, their cultivation levels are relatively low. If you go along, you might be delayed. What's wrong? It's not like we're going to fight in the past. Xiao Chen waved his hands after hearing this. Besides, if anything happens, I will protect you, so you don't have to worry about anything happening. They are all his women. As long as he likes him, no matter what his cultivation level is, he will not dislike him. You won't feel that the other party's cultivation level is not up to par, so you will just throw it in the corner without any interest. After all, cultivation is something that can only be achieved by cultivating it. It just takes some time. Wow, brother Xiao Chen is so kind. My sister loves you so much. Hearing Xiao Chen's considerate words, Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeier and others were greatly moved, and the latter even threw herself directly into Xiao Chen's arms. This is soft and fragrant. The corners of Xiao Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and evil fire surged out of his body. If not, he was still in the state of a sage, so he might have pulled Xiaomeier into the room. Sir, won't Sister Qian go? After seeing Xiao Chen come out, the door of the wing was closed, and Murong Qingshe asked curiously. Qian needs to refine the beast fire to break through the cultivation level. She won't be released for the time being in a few days. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this. Anyway, nothing happened now. After giving the other party a harsh lesson, he asked Qian to retreat to achieve a breakthrough in cultivation. However, you don't have to worry too much, even if Qian isn't following. Looking at the entire Great Qian dynasty, no one can threaten us. Seeing that after he told Qian about the retreat, Murong Qingshe, Bai Sukin and others showed a look of worry on their faces. Xiao Chen said with a slight smile, then raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Hiss. As the void suddenly tore apart at this moment. A burly figure with colorful hair all over his body also came to the inner courtyard of the Xiao family with a terrifying aura. This is the 5 Elements Undead Corpse Puppet. In the past 2 days, he has been refining the necromantic demon Yuan fruit in Shiwanda Mountain, and its cultivation level has soared to the 9th level of sainthood. In other words, even Qian, the queen of Medusa, is no match for this corpse puppet at this time. This corpse puppet was used as a trump card during this trip, which was enough for him to run rampant across the imperial city. Anyone who dares to mess with him will be slapped to death. She was told that she was too stupid to learn how to swim. Medusa was still not convinced and said that the swimming pool was too small, limiting her performance and that she could learn it by going to the beach. What a quibble. Roar. After this corpse puppet appeared. The 2-headed demon dragon puppet, who was originally sleeping in the Xiao family, seemed to be frightened by the 5 Elements Undead Corpse Chief. He raised his head and roared lowly at him. The 5 Elements Undead Corpse Puppet also looked at the 2-headed demonic dragon puppet, and also let out a deathly roar. However, after noticing that the other party had Xiao Chen's aura, these 2 guys didn't fight. After the 2-headed demon dragon puppet glanced at it, he lay on the ground and continued to sleep. Sir, is this another undead monster you refined? Looking at the big guy in front of her, Murong Qingshe asked in surprise. These 2 days, while communicating with Bai Sukin, Michelle Yeoh and others, they already knew what happened in the Fox Clan Valley. Got it too. In addition to the 2-headed demon dragon puppet, Xiao Chen also has an even more terrifying undead monster. His cultivation level has reached the level of Saint Realm in the past few days. Seeing this big guy appear at this time, several people felt a sense of suffocation. Such terrifying pressure. I'm afraid this big guy could tear them into pieces if he moved his claws. Well, although this big guy looks a little scary, it is under my absolute control. You don't have to worry about anything happening. And this big guy's cultivation has reached the 9th level of sainthood. Having it with us on this trip is enough to keep us safe. Seeing that Morong Qingshe and Xiaomeier were both frightened, Xiao Chen immediately spoke to comfort them, and he was immediately shocked when he said these words. Entering the 9th level of sainthood. Michelle Yeoh, Bai Suxin and others had shocked looks on their faces after hearing Xiao Chen's words. I just broke through to the Saint Realm a few days ago, and now I have reached the 9th level of Saint Realm. This undead monster, which has no cultivation bottleneck, grows at such a terrifying rate. Chenur, what happened? After noticing the movement here, Xiaozan and others rushed over. Seeing the courtyard, an unknown creature with a terrifying aura appeared, and Xiaozan, Xiaomingyi and others were startled. You came just in time. Seeing Xiaozan, Xiaomingyi and others appearing, Xiao Chen immediately smiled and explained a few words. After Xiaozan and others were shocked, Xiao Chen paused and added. I'm going to Daqian Imperial City. I'll leave this space formation disk to you and inlay it in the Xiao family's Jiaowu Square. Next time, if I return to the Xiao family, I can teleport directly to the Xiao family through this formation disk. With that said, Xiao Chen handed the formation disk to Xiaozan and others. This is the formation disk he just repaired using a space formation disk fragment and spending 180,000 points. Next, as long as the mosaic is done and the spatial coordinates are determined. Even if he is in Daqian Imperial City, he can return to the Xiao family in a moment. Next, after a brief explanation, Xiao Chen took Morong Qingshe, Xiaomeier and others into the palace where the double-headed magic dragon chariot was located. As for the 5 elements undead corpse, he threw it into one of the side rooms. The 2-headed demon dragon puppet raised its head and roared, and the cultivation level of the 9th level of heaven and human exploded. Then it turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the sky, speeding towards the direction of the Imperial City. 39%. Chapter 187 Brother Xiao Chen, how about you come in and help your sister fix the legs of the bed? Wow, I didn't expect the interior of this chariot to be so big. The 2-headed dragon is in the chariot. After Xiaomeier, Morong Qingshe and others opened the door and walked in, they saw that the inside was like a palace. Several people were completely stunned at this moment. If you look at it from the outside, this chariot palace is only the size of 2 rooms at most, but when you walk in, you realize that there is a grotto heaven inside. In the corridor that is hundreds of feet long, there are one wing after another. Although it's not clear yet how big is each wing room, but with so many rooms, it is no problem to accommodate dozens of people. Because this chariot palace is integrated into the Kongming stone. In addition, the high-grade quality has now reached the saint-level supreme grade, so the internal space can be folded to some extent. Seeing Xiaomeier, Morong Qingshe and others looked shocked. It was obviously the first time they saw such a magical chariot. Xiao Chen explained with a faint smile at this time. From the outside, the chariot palace should be 10 feet long and wide, but the space inside is 10 times larger. And this is only the limit that can be achieved by entering saint-level supreme grade. In the future, with the upgrade of the chariot palace, the space inside will be further expanded. If you can advance to the imperial level, you might even be able to evolve into a small world. Smelly brother, by making it so luxurious and creating so many rooms, is it convenient for us to find more stunning women to fill our harem in the future? After Xiao Chen explained, Xiaomeier looked disgusted. If there was one for each room, there would be at least dozens of them, and they could all form a group to create a sect. This stinky brother, don't be afraid of emptying your body. Ahem, with the speed of the double-headed magic dragon chariot, it will take quite a long time to get to Daqian Imperial City. You can find a private room to rest for a while. Hearing Xiaomeier's words, Xiao Chen just coughed dryly and then changed the subject. It will take more than half a day to get there. Xiaomeier and Xiaolinger's eyes lit up slightly when they heard this, and then they rushed into the nearest side room, and then they ran out in perfect harmony. Brother Xiao Chen, sister, I want this room. I want this room too. After coming out, Xiaomeier and Xiaolinger spoke, which immediately made Xiao Chen feel a little dizzy. So many rooms. 2 people want to grab the same room. Poisonous. Okay, since you also want this room, let's just squeeze in. But the foot of the bed in the room seems to be broken. How about you go and repair the foot of the bed first? When Xiao Chen felt depressed, Xiaomeier said with a proud face. Are you stupid? How can I, a weak woman, repair the legs of a bed? Shouldn't I ask Brother Xiao Chen for help with this kind of thing? After hearing Xiao Meier's words, Xiaoling rolled her eyes and said angrily. Xiao Chen frowned slightly when he heard this, feeling that something was wrong. The things in each wing were all prepared by him. How could a bed foot be broken? Yes, we should look for Brother Xiao Chen. After hearing what Xiaoling said, Xiao Meier suddenly realized. Then, when Xiao Chen turned around and was about to walk out of the corridor to blow the wind on the head of the two-headed dragon puppet, Xiao Meier grabbed Xiao Chen's arm. Brother Xiao Chen, how about you come in and help sister fix the legs of the bed? Your sister Linger is so fat. You don't want your sister to fall asleep and the bed accidentally collapse and be crushed to death by her, right? After saying that, before Xiao Chen could answer anything, Xiao Meier dragged her in to fix the foot of the bed. Xiao Meier, you damn girl, who are you calling fat? I have half the right to use that bed, and I also want Brother Xiao Chen to fix the legs of the bed for me. After saying that, Xiaolinger immediately followed in, and the door closed with a bang. But the next moment, seemingly sensing something was wrong, Xiaolinger couldn't help but poked her head out and looked at Murong Qingshe, Bai Suxin and others with an embarrassed look on her face. Do you want to come in and fix the legs of the bed together? If we all work together, maybe we can repair it faster. After hearing these two words from Xiaolinger, Murong Qingshe, Bai Suxin and others were all stunned at this moment. Apparently he knew it too. What will happen next in the wing room? But after a moment of silence, Murong Qingshe, Bai Suxin and others all shook their heads slightly at this moment. After all, we are not very familiar with each other yet, so we can't let go when there are too many people. In addition, it's only half a day's journey, so I'm afraid there won't be enough time to go all in together. What's more, if they go in together, Xiao Chen won't be able to bear it. Seeing that Murong Qingshe and others did not come in to interfere, Xiaolinger had a look of regret on her face, and then she closed the door and let Xiao Chen fix the foot of the bed. It turns out that Medusa knows how to swim, but she just wanted to trick me into coming to the beach. She was really bad. Not long after the door closed. After Murong Qingshe and Yunxi greeted Bai Suxin and others, they walked deep into the corridor to choose a wing. Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin also twisted their waists to follow. Alas, we let them take the lead again. I heard movement coming from the closed wing, and Mu Qingshe, Bai Suxin and others were leaving. Michelle Yeoh suddenly sighed and said with a face as lonely as snow. No, we can't be so passive anymore, we have to be proactive. Next time, we have to find a reason to ask the young master to help us clear up wasteland, or repair the bed legs and water the flowers. These few are celestial human realm powerhouses who have lived for more than 100 years. In the past few days, I haven't been able to get any moisture at all, and two little girls have taken the lead. It's simply a lack of progress, a shame and a huge humiliation, and the mud can't hold up the wall. When this thought fell, Michelle Yeoh glanced at Lu Hanfei and Li Qingying with hatred. After more than 100 years of friendship, two little girls still have no tacit understanding. It's so infuriating. When Lu Hanfei and Li Qingying saw Michelle Yeoh's look, they both turned away with guilty conscience. You must know that Xiao Chen has many confidants around him, and each of their relationships looks very unusual. Even if they are strong in the celestial human realm, they are more or less unable to let go, and of course they cannot bully the weak. But now after hearing what Michelle Yeoh said, they really should be more proactive. Senior sister, don't you feel ashamed of yourself? While Lu Hanfei and Li Qingying's eyes flickered, Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru looked at each other and asked with some embarrassment and confusion. You two are still too young, you have not experienced some things, and your life experience is not complete at all. You will understand all this after you two experience it. Hearing this, Michelle Yeoh gave a somewhat vague explanation, which immediately made both Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru blush. Senior sister, why don't we find a way for the young master to go to the Wanhua sect again, if the sect master and the great elder can help plunder the formation? Our situation will not be too passive, and we may be able to take the initiative. When Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru felt embarrassed, Li Qingying's eyes flickered and she spoke with some meaningful words. That's a good idea. Senior sister Zuying is so coquettish. No, senior sister Zuying is so proactive and domineering, maybe she can really create opportunities for us. If it doesn't work, let's get some more elixirs. Repeat what happened last time again. After hearing Li Qingying's suggestion, Michelle Yeoh said excitedly. Hearing these words, Yun Zhiro and Li Mengru felt that their worldview had collapsed. 39%. Chapter 188 Sister-in-Law, do you really want to make yourself lonely for the rest of your life just for a vow? Dakion Imperial City. Inside the Zion Chamber of Commerce headquarters. A woman with stunning appearance, her long purple hair cascading down her shoulders like a waterfall, could be called supreme grade in both figure and appearance. At this time, he was looking at the flowers in the courtyard in a daze. And this person, it's not the Ziluo that Xiao Chen knows, but the youngest sister of the president of the Zion Chamber of Commerce and Ziluo's current aunt, Ziling. A strange woman who shocked the entire Great Qian dynasty 20 years ago with her appearance and business skills. Even because of her outstanding appearance and talent, she was noticed by Emperor Dakion and even considered taking her as his concubine. When the previous president of Zion Chamber of Commerce was still alive, he also wanted Ziling to become the concubine of Emperor Dakion, so that Zion Chamber of Commerce can form an alliance with the royal family. However, due to various reasons, this matter did not happen in the end. Because of this, Ziling also had a grudge, and gradually let go of the affairs of the Chamber of Commerce and lived in seclusion within the Zion Chamber of Commerce. Sister-in-law, are you in a daze here again? While Ziling was watching the flowers swaying in the wind, Ziluo walked straight to Ziling's side. In the Zion Chamber of Commerce, except for her deceased biological mother, Ziling was the closest to her. She was able to take care of most of the affairs of the Zion Chamber of Commerce in an orderly manner at the age of just over 20 years old. The biggest credit among them is this little aunt who has been nurturing her since she was a child. Without Ziling's guidance, no matter how talented she was, she would not have achieved what she has now. Unfortunately, Ziling does not care about the affairs of Zion Chamber of Commerce now, which has become a small regret in Ziluo's heart. As I get older, I like to be in a daze. Hearing Ziluo's words, Ziling raised her head slightly and spoke softly. But the words revealed a kind of desolation and helplessness. Sister-in-law, you are only 38 years old. It is the age when a woman is in her prime. How can you say that you are old? Ziluo's expression froze slightly when she heard this. As if she had thought of something, she immediately smiled and said comforting words. Cannot practice. Even if I use all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures to lock my vitality, I can only live for 100 years at most. Even the appearance will not be able to be maintained for another 10 or 20 years. Ziling laughed at herself when she heard this and said with a somewhat lonely expression. She possesses a very powerful physique. Even though her physique has not yet fully awakened, martial Dao's talent has reached the heavenly rank supreme grade. However, she was born with a defect in her dantian and was unable to condense and store spiritual energy. So, no matter how talented she is, she can only cultivate to the 9th level of body tempering and cannot further enter the Kaiyuan realm. After all, practitioners of the 9th level of body tempering are just ordinary people. No matter how hard he goes in the future, his lifespan will only be more than 100 years old. It can't even slow down the aging of its own appearance. Now she still looks like she is in her 20s, like a woman in her prime, just the effect of taking pills. But the elixir can only last for a while. Once you are over 50, without true energy to maintain it, you will still slowly age. But even a short life can bloom like a flower and have its own grace. Sister-in-law, do you really want to make yourself lonely for the rest of your life just for a vow? Hearing Ziling's self-deprecating words, Ziluo still didn't want to see the other person give up on himself, so she gritted her teeth and finally asked the question in her heart. Then, Emperor Dakion intends to accept Ziling as his concubine, and many senior officials of the Zion Chamber of Commerce also agree. Unfortunately, Ziling didn't want to enter the palace as a concubine, so she couldn't refuse Emperor Dakion directly. Just claim it. She has made an oath of heaven since she was a child. If someone can cure her dantian defect, she will be a slave and dress him up for the rest of her life. And before this oath has been verified, she will not marry anyone in this life. Then, although Emperor Dakion found it difficult to accept this rhetoric, it was also because he took into account the influence of the Zion Chamber of Commerce. In the end, Ziling was not forced to enter the palace. He even invited an ancestor from the royal family to repair the defects in Ziling's dantian. Have no choice. Ziling's situation is extremely special. Even the ancestor of the royal family couldn't do anything about it. To this, the relationship between the Zion Chamber of Commerce and the Dakion royal family has also become somewhat tense. In the following 10 years, Ziling lived in seclusion in the Chamber of Commerce and began to fade from the eyes of the world. Now, the old president has passed away, and the royal family has long forgotten about this matter. But Ziling is still alone, which makes Ziluo feel a little hard to understand. Since you can't practice, it is better to make your limited life more exciting. But Ziling chose to close herself off. Could it be because of her previous vow? The image of Ziling was reset by the author using the old picture. There is also a sexy one at the back, but it needs to be coded. This one is more conservative. You girl. Do you really don't understand, or are you just pretending to be stupid? After hearing Ziluo's words, Ziling said helplessly at this time. Although 18 years have passed since that incident, and the world has gradually forgotten it, forgetting does not mean it never happened. With the domineering character of Emperor Dakion. If no one can cure my sister-in-law will marry someone else. This will undoubtedly be a slap in the face of the Emperor Dakion. As she said that, Ziling couldn't help but sigh, looking at the sky in the distance with a trace of sadness on her face. So, this oath. Although it became an excuse for me to avoid marriage at first, it has now become a shackles that bind me. The oath will not be verified, so my sister-in-law must keep her integrity for the rest of her life. Otherwise, there will be a complete quarrel between the Dakion royal family and the Zion Chamber of Commerce because of me. Unless someone can cure my sister-in-law, or the Emperor Dakion dies. Only my sister-in-law can have a chance to find her own support. Perhaps this is her destiny. Even though her appearance and figure are unparalleled, even her natural talent and physique are superior to ordinary people. But God is also fair. After giving her so many advantages, she was given a fatal flaw. Her life was destined not to be too exciting. Sister-in-law, I know a person. He may have a way to cure you. After hearing what Ziling said, Ziluo said in a low voice after being silent for a while. This sentence. For a moment, Ziling turned her head, with a look of surprise on her face, but the next moment she laughed dumbly. You little girl. You want to comfort my sister-in-law again, right? The innate deficiency in the dantian is caused during the development of the mother and fetus. This kind of innate flaw. Unless we can find the legendary supreme-grade holy medicine, it is simply impossible to overcome it. My sister-in-law can just spend her whole life in this courtyard. Zion Chamber of Commerce will have you as its support in the future. Even if my big brother is confused, he won't ruin the family fortune. Sister-in-law, this matter. I am not joking. Ziluo took a deep breath, her eyes flickered for a moment, and then she said cautiously at this moment. That person's name is Xiao Chen. I met him in Tianducheng a month ago. I saw it with my own eyes. He raised his hand and clicked a few times, and he cured the hidden disease in the body of the elder of Wanwaman. Behind him is an extremely mysterious master who can refine the rank 8 supreme-grade soul resurrection purple pill. This time I invited him to Dakion Imperial City. On the one hand, I want to continue to have a good relationship with him. On the other hand, I want my sister-in-law to come with me to meet him. Maybe he has some way to cure your shortcomings. 39%. Chapter 189. The arrival of the Great Qian dynasty, the shock of the princes. Xiao Chen. Raise your hand and tap a few times to cure the hidden disease in the body of the Wanwaman elder. Hearing Ziluo mention this person, Ziling's face showed surprise. The skills practiced by Wanwaman are flawed, and over time there will be hidden diseases in the body. She also knows something about this. It is said that that kind of secret disease is caused by the backlash of yin energy, and ordinary heavenly rank elixirs cannot cure it. Didn't you expect that you could easily cure it after just a few clicks? Then he should be an accomplished medical expert. Feeling a little surprised in her heart, Ziling suddenly said with emotion. No, he is a few years younger than me. Ziluo shook her head when she heard this, her voice full of surprise. But even so, his cultivation is comparable to mine. He is a mysterious guy. I remember a month ago. The opponent's cultivation level has reached the 9th level of Xuandan, and now she has broken through to the 1st level of Grotto Heaven. With Xiao Chen's terrifying talent, he should have broken through with her. Therefore, Xiao Chen's current cultivation level may also be in the 1st level of Grotto Heaven. How many years younger than you, but his cultivation level is the same as yours. Ziling looked shocked when she heard this. Ziluo's martial Dao talent is extremely outstanding, even reaching the level of heavenly rank. Compared to her original heavenly rank supreme grade, it was only a small difference. At a few years younger than Ziluo, he has the same cultivation level as Ziluo. It seems that this young man named Xiao Chen is a rare martial Dao wizard. But just because martial Dao is an evildoer, it doesn't mean he has great medical skills. How could he be able to do it at such a young age? After feeling shocked in her heart, Ziling shook her head and smiled lightly. Such an age. It is impossible to specialize in martial Dao and still have the energy to study other aspects. Sister-in-law, you can't be too absolute in everything. This is what you taught me. You haven't met Mr. Xiao yet, how can you say that there is really nothing he can do? Before Ziling could finish her words, she was interrupted by Ziluo. What's more, even if young Master Xiao can't do anything, there is a master behind him who might be able to do something. In fact, Ziluo was a little unsure in her heart. That's why I hesitated for nearly a month and didn't tell anything about Xiao Chen. I'm afraid that after giving Ziling hope, it will end up in disappointment in the end. But now, I saw that the once magnificent little ant was now wasting away her years like a harem. Ziluo was desperate at this moment and had to bring Ziling to see Xiao Chen. Even if Xiao Chen really can't do anything, maybe his master can. You girl. Have you really grown up now? You know how to translate my words and educate me in turn. Ziling was slightly startled when she heard this, and then said with a dumb smile. In that case, then when Mr. Xiao arrives, you can take my sister-in-law to meet him. When I took my classmate Medusa to the beach, she almost went crazy and even changed into a new swimsuit. The other side. As the double-headed magic dragon chariot quickly approached Dakian Imperial City, Xiao Chen helped Xiaomeier and Xiaolinger repair the foot of the bed. Alas, before transmigration, my wish was to live a life of full stomach and lustful thoughts every day, but now this life is even crazier than I imagined. I am a human being, not a farm tool. Are you really treating me like a beast? Glancing at Xiaomeier and Xiaolinger who were lying on the bed, Xiao Chen couldn't help but let out a sigh after closing the door. Young master, did you help those two little sisters fix the foot of the bed so quickly? Just when Xiao Chen lamented the helplessness of life, Michelle Yeoh and others seemed to be squatting, pushing open the door and walking out one by one. How? The foot of your bed is also broken. Seeing the twinkling eyes in the corridor, there are some peerless beauties who seem to be in the throes of spring. Xiao Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and he asked helplessly. Fortunately, he just spent another 160,000 points to upgrade the Imperial House control technique to Saint-level supreme grade. If not, no matter how powerful his innate Dao body foundation is, without the help of powerful techniques, an iron pestle can really be ground into a needle. How do you know that the foot of our bed is also broken? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Michelle Yeoh and others' eyes lit up, and they asked with some joy. The young master looks like he is still very energetic, and he should be fine if he repairs the foot of the bed a few times. Stop it. Now that we are less than 100 miles away from Dakian Imperial City, I don't have time to help you repair it anymore. Seeing that Michelle Yeoh and others were eager to try, they wanted to pull him into the side room. Xiao Chen couldn't help rolling his eyes and replied angrily. If this continues, he is definitely the only person in the history of Transmigrate who spends more time repairing the legs of his bed than he does in cultivation. All right, Michelle Yeoh and others were speechless when they heard this, but they were not dazzled by desire at this time. Dang Ji smiled and said to Xiao Chen. By the way, senior sister Zuying said that she has something important to do and wants the young master to go to Wanwaman. I wonder if the young master can give me a favor next. After speaking, Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others showed a hint of nervousness on their faces. I was afraid that Xiao Chen would reject them at this time. Well, after we resolve the matter in Dakian Imperial City, we can stay at Wanwaman for a few days when we go back. Xiao Chen thought for a moment after hearing this, then responded with a slight smile. If the affairs of the Xian Chamber of Commerce are settled and nothing happens, there is no harm in going to Wanwaman. Just right. He can refine a space formation disk to connect Wanwaman with the Xiao family. It can also facilitate Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeier and others to enter the Wanhua Gate to practice. Of course, it would also be convenient for him to go to Wanhua Gate to talk to Duan Muzuying and the others about life one night when he felt as lonely as snow. Flying monsters are not allowed to fly into the Imperial City without permission. I wonder what kind of power you are from. Just when Xiao Chen finished saying this, Michelle Yeoh and others looked ecstatic, and at the same time, a voice exploded like thunder. The two-headed dragon puppet roared at this moment, and Xiao Chen and others couldn't help but frown. Dakian Imperial City has arrived. When the thought emerged, Xiao Chen immediately walked out of the chariot palace and appeared outside the pavilion of the palace. A majestic city whose walls alone reached dozens of feet and whose edges could not be seen at a glance also appeared in front of Xiao Chen and others. This is the most prosperous city in Daqian Imperial City, and it is also the place where the top powerhouses of the dynasty gather most. And at this time, above the void of this city wall, a general wearing black armor stood in the sky, with a large group of imperial guards behind him. Everyone stared at Xiao Chen and his group with serious expressions. The Emperor Daqian has an order. Anyone without a pass is not allowed to ride a flying monster. If not, will be attacked by the imperial army. I am the honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce. If the royal family has any dissatisfaction with my son's entry into the city, you can go to the headquarters of the Xian Chamber of Commerce to argue with me. When Xiao Chen heard this, he glanced at the city guards, left a few words, and then gave the order directly. The two-headed demon dragon puppet let out a roar, and the cultivation level of the 9th level of heaven and man exploded. After the terrifying coercion swept across all directions, they ignored the obstruction of the city guards and then twisted the space and rushed into the imperial city. Hiss, you actually used a monster from the 9th level of heaven and man as a cart-pulling slave beast. When did there ever be such a terrifying person among the honorary elders of the Xian Chamber of Commerce? Seeing the two-headed demon dragon puppet turning into a stream of light and disappearing into the city, the leading general also had a look of horror on his face. As the messages were conveyed one after another, several princes in the palace raised their heads in shock after receiving the message. 39%. Chapter 190. What? Is he that Mr. Xiao? With a demonic dragon at the 9th level of heaven and human being as a cart-pulling slave, how could Xian Chamber of Commerce have such a terrifying honorary elder? After receiving the information from the city guards, the eyes of the princes showed sparkles. No matter who this person is, if you can win over him, that is likely to play a crucial role in their subsequent fight for the crown prince position. When the thought falls, the princes immediately took their staff and rushed to the Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters, hoping to win over this elder as soon as possible. What a terrifying aura! Which big shot is it that suddenly came to Daqian Imperial City? When the two-headed demon dragon puppet roared into the Imperial City and headed towards the Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters according to the instructions. Deep inside the palace, Emperor Daqian sat on the dragon throne and opened his eyes, looking solemnly into the void outside the palace. Because he is the master of the Great Qian dynasty and has the blessing of imperial luck. Not only can it increase its own combat power, but it can also sense the movements of the imperial city. So when the two-headed demon dragon puppet broke into the imperial city, even if he was in the inner courtyard of the palace more than 100 miles away, he could sense Xiao Chen and his group at this time. Feel the chariot on the palace. There were actually several heavenly and human auras, and even a mysterious aura, as vast and terrifying as the abyss. Emperor Daqian was horrified on the spot. I don't know if we are friends or foes. Something happened to the ancestor of the Dongyuan Huo family, and the Huo family is a little overwhelmed at the moment. Which big shot will come to this joint? Could it be someone from the other two hidden families? When the thoughts fell in his mind, Emperor Daqian's expression changed slightly, and his figure immediately disappeared into the hall. Sir, if we just barged in with such a big fanfare, don't we think too little of the royal family? Enter the double-headed dragon chariot. Mirong Qingshe looked at the buildings that were speeding past below. She glanced into the depths of Daqian Imperial City and said in a worried tone. After all, the Imperial City is the territory of the Daqian royal family, and everything must be done in accordance with the laws of the royal family. Xiao Chen's behavior just now. To put it lightly, it is unscrupulous. To put it seriously, it is breaking the law. This is a slap in the face of the Daqian royal family on the royal family's territory. It doesn't matter. If Emperor Daqian was smarter, he wouldn't trouble me about this matter. Maybe. He will find ways to please me. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and didn't care about it at all. If you don't have enough confidence but act extremely arrogantly, you are asking for death. But if you have strength or foundation that is superior to others, even if he acts a little arrogantly, it will still be normal in the eyes of others, and they will even go to great lengths to please him. This is the reality of the world of martial Dao. Well, there is a picture. Let's take a picture of Queen Medusa's back. While the two were talking, the two-headed demon dragon puppet had already approached the Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters. Xiao Chen did not let the two-headed demon dragon puppet rush in directly as it approached the square in front of the Xian Chamber of Commerce. Xiao Chen raised his hand and gave an order, and the two-headed dragon puppet roared. Immediately stepped on the void to stop the chariot, and stopped steadily in midair in the square. Such a horrific scene. It frightened many cultivators in Zion Chamber of Commerce Square, and after reacting, they quickly stayed away from the two-headed dragon puppet. If such a terrifying big guy suddenly went berserk and hurt people, they wouldn't be able to squeeze through the gap between their teeth. Which faction is the young master? He actually has a chariot palace that is even more impressive than the Emperor of Dakion, and there are many charming beauties around him. Looking at the double-headed dragon chariot and Xiao Chen and others above, an uproar broke out in the square. Many cultivators in Dakion Imperial City expressed exclamations and comments. Ha ha ha, I heard magpies chirping when I woke up today. I didn't expect that a distinguished guest would actually arrive. Zikang was unable to greet us from afar in time, I hope you don't mind. Feeling such an alarming movement in the Chamber of Commerce Square, not only Zikang, the Chamber of Commerce president, but also the numerous celestial human realm elders in the Chamber of Commerce. Everyone rushed out in panic. Before I could even stand upright, I said a few nice words first. After all, to be able to own such a majestic chariot palace, you can tell with your butt that this is not an ordinary person. There is nothing wrong with saying a few nice words to build your goodwill. Finished. Zikang and others looked intently at the chariot palace. After seeing a young man on the chariot and a large group of stunning women, the pupils of Zikang and others suddenly shrank at this time. Hiss, aren't those the celestial human realm elders from Wanwaman? Why are they all on top of the chariot palace? After seeing Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others, Zixuan couldn't help but take a sharp breath and said. Although they didn't recognize Xiao Chen in front of them, Michelle Yeoh and Lu Hanfei were familiar with them. After all, the celestial human realm powerhouse who is also the great Qian dynasty has more or less dealt with him. The girls from Wanwaman have never been close to men, but now they are following a young man like a companion. Is it possible? This is a direct son of one of the three hidden families, and he has conquered the Wanhua clan in an outrageous manner. Hiss, Xiao. Master Xiao. Just when Zikang, Zixuan and others' pupils shrank, their minds were thinking about Xiao Chen's origins. Zi Luo, who came from behind, couldn't help but exclaimed when she saw Xiao Chen's familiar face. The sound of these words fell. Just like thunder on the ground, Zikang and others were shocked. What? Thinking of what Zi Luo told them before, Zikang and others couldn't help but take a deep breath, and their eyes became a little unbelievable. Is this Mr. Xiao Chen? Doesn't the other party have to sell elixirs in exchange for resources? Shouldn't he be a young man who is not very wealthy? How come he has such a magnificent chariot and palace now? He looks like a young master who has no shortage of resources. Haha, I was delayed by something some time ago, so I couldn't find the time to come over. I didn't expect that Miss Ziluo has become much prettier after not seeing her for almost a month. After hearing Zi Luo's exclamation, Xiao Chen smiled lightly. The figure also fell from the chariot palace. Michelle Yeoh, Lu Hanfei and others also left with Xiao Meyer and others. The group of people were like a couple of gods and gods, but many onlookers around them were stunned. Young master is so complimentary. Compared with the beauties around you, Zi Luo's appearance and figure are only average. Hearing Xiao Chen's compliment, Zi Luo immediately responded with a smile. Although her answer was very modest, the corner of her mouth still raised a slight arc. This is my father Zikang, who is also the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. This is the great elder of our Chamber of Commerce, Zixuan. After responding with a smile, Zi Luo introduced with a smile. Ha ha ha, it turns out that you are the young master Xiao Chen that Zi Luo talks about. Such an extraordinary demeanor is really worth seeing once 100 times. Zi Luo can invite Mr. Xiao to become the honorary elder of Zion Chamber of Commerce. This is really the blessing that Zion Chamber of Commerce has accumulated over the years. After Zi Luo introduced her, Zikang immediately laughed. That kind of late meeting made Xiao Chen a little embarrassed. Is this Chamber of Commerce president overly enthusiastic? Mr. Xiao, there are some people outside who are too arrogant. We'd better go to the Chamber of Commerce to negotiate. I, the president, will definitely take good care of the young man. Seeing Xiao Chen smile and nod, Zikang immediately said enthusiastically. To be able to own such a majestic chariot palace, no matter how young Xiao Chen is, his background is definitely far beyond their imagination. It was enough to make him put down his face and try his best to please her. That's fine. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this, and immediately raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The two-headed demon dragon puppet let out a roar and took the chariot and palace to hide in the void. Such an incredible scene. The pupils of Zikang, Zixuan and others shrank, with looks of horror and disbelief on their faces. This magic dragon chariot actually has the ability to hide in the void. Could it be that this is a saint-rank chariot palace? 40%. Chapter 191. Is this what you promised during the meeting yesterday, that you wouldn't turn away? Feeling extremely shocked in their hearts, Zikang and others walked into the Chamber of Commerce headquarters with Xiao Chen and his party. And the headquarters of Xian Chamber of Commerce. It is even more luxurious than the Tiandu City Xian branch, with all the floor tiles and standing stone pillars along the way. All of them are profound rank building materials, and they are also engraved with mysterious lines. It was like there was a terrifying formation covering the entire Xian Chamber of Commerce. This made Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeyer and others couldn't help but exclaim in exclamation. Yunxi, a little girl, acted as if she had never seen the world before. She was so nervous that she pulled on Xiao Chen's clothes. Mr. Xiao, this is the core area of our Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters. Only senior executives of the Chamber of Commerce and some distinguished guests are qualified to come here. This place is made of sapphire bricks and granite blackwood rocks. There is even a heavenly rank supreme grade formation engraved inside. Once the formation is fully activated, even a strong person in the 9th level of heaven and human realm will not be able to leave this place easily. I saw Xiao Chen's eyes flickering and he was constantly looking around. Zikang thought that the other party was marveling at the magnificence of the building, so he couldn't help but explain it with some pride on his face. As expected of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, it is indeed a wealthy country. After hearing Zikang's words, Xiao Chen said with emotion. Resisting the urge to let the 5 elements undead corpse puppet take action and dismantle the place and exchange it for points, he walked into the VIP area with Zikang and others. By the way, Mr. Xiao, where is your senior sister? Talk while walking. After Ziluo entered the VIP area of the Chamber of Commerce and brewed some good spiritual tea for Xiao Chen, he asked with some curiosity. Although I didn't see Kaian's true face last time. But after this period of investigation, she already knew that Xiao Chen's senior sister was actually Queen Medusa of the Snake Tribe. The other party and Xiao Chen are almost inseparable, and the Cold Queen is not seen now. It made her a little curious. She is temporarily in seclusion. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this, but now he was a little confused. Why did Ziluo mention Kai Yan? Master Xiao's senior sister is Queen Medusa, right? After hesitating for a while, Ziluo asked. This made the expressions of Zikang, Zixuan and others become solemn at this moment. As expected of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, it seems that Ms. Ziluo has been very concerned about my son's affairs during this period of time. After hearing Ziluo's words, Xiao Chen took a sip of tea and then answered calmly. She is indeed Queen Medusa of the Snake Tribe. Of course she is also my senior sister in name, but in fact she is still my woman. Well, there is also cultivation. I believe you have also investigated it. Now she has become a strong person in the saint realm. These things, as long as others do a little investigation, they can find clues. So there is no point in hiding it, and of course Xiao Chen has no need to hide it. Hiss. Hearing Xiao Chen's plain words, Zikang and others took a deep breath. The powerful person who broke through at the 10,000 Flowers Gate in a previous time was indeed Queen Medusa of the Snake Tribe. Unexpectedly, this queen, trapped in the celestial human realm for many years, finally broke through the barrier. Of course, what horrified them the most was, what kind of charm does this young Master Xiao have that can conquer the Queen of the Snake Tribe? Well, there are pictures. Here is a beautiful picture of Lu Shen. Young Master has misunderstood. Our Xian Chamber of Commerce has no ill intentions towards this. It's just because the Xian Chamber of Commerce had some minor frictions with the Snake Tribe. So I want the young master to give Xian Chamber of Commerce a little favor and ask Queen Medusa not to mind too much about the past. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Ziluo said sincerely. Then he took off a Na ring from his hand and handed it to Xiao Chen with a cautious expression. Some time ago, young master asked Ziluo to collect the resources of the Chamber of Commerce, although the inventory of each major branch is not much. But I still collected resources worth more than 43 million spiritual crystals for the young master. Resource items worth more than 40 million spiritual crystals. Hearing Zi Luo's words and looking at the ring handed over by the other party, Xiao Chen's eyes became brighter. He now has less than 15,000 points left. If this amount of resource items can be recycled, the points can exceed 4 million in an instant. Such a huge amount of points allows him to do a lot of things. It's not in vain that he came all the way to Dakian Imperial City. There are 20 million spiritual crystals in this ring, and I will use elixirs to offset the rest. Xiao Chen didn't say anything nonsense and directly threw out a storage ring. He had collected less than half of the 20 million spiritual crystals in this period of time. However, considering the next step, every time you perform space teleportation, a large amount of spiritual crystals will be consumed. In addition, the women around him also needed spiritual crystals for their cultivation, so Xiao Chen reserved more than 20 million spiritual crystals as backup resources. Sir, if you can agree to Zi Luo's request, Xi'an Chamber of Commerce can waive the remaining payment. Just when Xiao Chen was about to take out the elixir to counteract it, Zi Luo's sudden words made him slightly startled. Zikang, Zixuan and others were also stunned. Damn it. This is more than 20 million spiritual crystals. Even as an honorary elder, you can shop at a 80% discount. At least more than 10 million spiritual crystals have to be paid, otherwise the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce will suffer a lot of bleeding. But now, Zi Luo actually wants to offset more than 20 million spiritual crystals with one request. What request could be so valuable? Is this why we agreed during the meeting yesterday that we would not turn away? Zikang, the president, was relatively calm, but Zixuan, the stingy elder, was so flustered that he couldn't breathe. He really wanted to yell and stop this ridiculous practice, but in the end his rationality forced him to hold back. I ask you, sir, to cure my little aunt. After taking a deep breath, Zi Luo said cautiously. After saying these words, Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. The expressions of Zikang, Zixuan and others all changed. Zi Luo, don't mess around. As his expression changed, Zikang immediately shouted in a deep voice, then clasped his fists and said to Xiao Chen. Mr. Xiao, my daughter was a little ignorant just now, but the young master just ignored it and never mentioned it. To know, Zi Ling is the Dantian innate lack of sex. Even the strong saint realm is helpless. How could Xiao Chen, a young master, have any ability to cure Zi Ling? Doesn't this make it clear that you want to make things difficult for others? What if Xiao Chen feels that he has lost face because of this incident and has some prejudice against Xi'an Chamber of Commerce? Then the goodwill they had finally established just now was wasted because of this incident. This Zi Luo is just nonsense. He made such an impulsive decision without consulting them. It doesn't matter. Seeing such a big reaction from Zikang and others, Xiao Chen waved his hand and said. However, I can only treat physical injuries. If it is some poison or curse, then I will be helpless. If you can spend some points, you can offset more than 20 million spiritual crystals. For Xiao Chen, this is undoubtedly something he earned with his blood. Therefore, he was a little curious, what happened to the little ant Zi Luo? 40%. Chapter 192. It's just the first time we met, and you're already having wild dreams. Can you heal your injuries? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Zikang and others' expressions condensed, while Zi Luo's face showed a hint of hope. Then he took a deep breath and asked boldly, I wonder, Master, if the defect of innateness in Dantian can be repaired. After saying these words, the room became a little dead silent, and Zi Luo and others held their breath. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. Dantian, innate sexual defects. There are still such weird symptoms, it is really strange in the Great Thousand World. To know, innate defects are caused during maternal and fetal development, and are more difficult to repair than the day after tomorrow. The system can repair all acquired physical damage, but whether it can repair innate defects is in his blind spot. Because he had never encountered it before, Xiao Chen was a little confused at this time. When the thought came to an end, Xiao Chen asked immediately. Ding. All living things have defects, whether caused by innate pregnancy or acquired by accidents. The system can be repaired and restored to its complete form. After hearing the system's answer, Xiao Chen's eyes couldn't help but light up. As expected of the system, it is really awesome. If it is just a lack of innate sex in the Dantian, it is not difficult to cure it. After getting the system's answer, Xiao Chen said with a slight smile. The words fell. Undoubtedly, it was like thunder on the ground, making Zi Luo and others' minds feel like there was a roar and explosion at this time. No fuss the problem. The pupils of Zikang, Zixuan and others suddenly shrank, with disbelief on their faces. Ziling's Dantian defect. But even the strong men of Saint Realm were helpless, and even the alchemy king Ji Yu Qinghe was helpless. And Xiao Chen actually said, "This is not a difficult thing. Is this too crazy to say? Young master, are you serious about what you say?" Zi Luo's face was filled with ecstasy, and she spoke again to confirm. Even his body was shaking with excitement at this moment. I wanted to treat a dead horse as a live doctor and see if I could find hope from Xiao Chen. She didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so sure, and it was beyond her expectation. I never tell lies. Of course. If you don't believe me, I don't have to take action. Xiao Chen waved his hands after hearing this. As soon as these words came out, Zi Luo suddenly realized that she was a little excited and said the wrong thing. Sir, Zi Luo didn't mean that, she was just a little too excited. As if she was afraid that Xiao Chen would be angry, Zi Luo quickly explained at this time. Okay, I'm not that stingy. Call your little aunt over. I'll show her the scene. Seeing that Zi Luo, who had always been calm, was as nervous as a little girl at this moment, Xiao Chen said with a faint smile and waved his hand. He's a big man. There is no need to worry about it just because of a word, not to mention that the other party has collected so many supplies. Thank you, sir. I'll call my little aunt over right now. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Zi Luo ran out the door with a look of ecstasy. Zikang, Zixuan and others were silent. If Xiao Chen can cure Ziling, it will indeed be a good thing for Xian Chamber of Commerce, but if you think about it carefully, it doesn't seem to be a good thing. Because Ziling had made a vow that whoever would be able to cure her in the future. She has been the other person's person all her life. This means that, after Ziling is cured, she will probably not stay in the Xian Chamber of Commerce, and may even run away with Xiao Chen. Then Xian Chamber of Commerce, didn't this move mean that they lost resources and lost another woman? Not to mention, the Daqian Emperor has not died yet, if the other party still misses Ziling. Will you be disgusted to learn that Ziling was cured and even ran away with someone else? Maybe they will vent their anger on the Xian Chamber of Commerce and make the relationship between the two major forces become tense again. Think of this. Zikang, Zixuan and the others couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. After looking at each other, they could only sigh helplessly. We can only take one step at a time. But Xiao Chen didn't know what Zikang and others were thinking. After Zi Luo ran out in ecstasy, his eyes fell on Na Jia. Follow the soul thought to penetrate into Na Ji. Mountain peaks made of various materials were also reflected in his mind at this moment. They are all scrap materials. Looking at this batch of resources, they were all low to medium level waste materials, and Xiao Chen didn't keep anything. Directly order the system to recycle them all. Ding! The system has recovered all resources and items. Congratulations to the host for earning 4,389,248 points. As the system prompt sounded, a smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face. Comfortable. I got more than 4.3 million points in one fell swoop, and I didn't even have to put in any effort to get them. It was indeed the right choice to befriend Zi Luo and get her name in the Chamber of Commerce. If we can win over the opponent, we can completely control the Xian Chamber of Commerce. Even if he lies down every day, someone will collect resources and items for him. This is a very happy thing. Not long after Xiao Chen finished his thoughts, there was a rush of footsteps, and Zi Luo also pulled a woman in. This made everyone in the wing look up. So beautiful. Seeing behind Zi Luo, that one has a beautiful and picturesque face, and her head of purple hair is extremely silky. Wearing purple clothes, every part of her body outlines perfect curves. Whether it was Xiao Chen, Marong Qingshe or others, they couldn't help but marvel. Dressed in purple, and with this face and figure, she looks very charming at first glance. Well, there are pictures. Here is another beautiful picture of Ziling. Purple. Has a very charming flavor. Sir, this is my little aunt, Ziling. Ignoring other people's gazes, Zi Luo pulled Ziling into the side room and went straight to Xiao Chen. And Ziling, even if she was a talented woman in the past, she was someone who had seen big storms. But now I saw this handsome young man in front of me, and there were nearly 10 stunning women in the room. This made her feel very nervous inside. Certainly. The greater tension in her heart at this time came from what Zi Luo had just told her. This Mr. Xiao was sure to cure her. In this case, the young master in front of her is very likely to be her future husband. Thinking of this, Ziling's eyes trembled a little, and she became even more nervous. Sister-in-law, why are you staring at the young master? Why don't you say hello quickly? After seeing Ziling walking into the wing, she kept staring blankly at Xiao Chen without even saying hello. This made Ziluo feel a little nervous, and she immediately pulled the other person and whispered. The little girl Ziling has met Mr. Xiao. After being pulled by Ziluo, Ziling came back to her senses at this time, and her face suddenly turned red. Only then did I realize that I was a little out of sorts. He quickly suppressed all the distracting thoughts in his mind and greeted Xiao Chen softly. Murong Qingshe, Lu Hanfei and others on the side were speechless when they saw Ziling's expression and posture. No matter how you look at it, it looks like the behavior of a young girl in love with her child. There is no mistake. The two of them had just met for the first time, and this woman with purple hair and purple clothes already had wild thoughts about the young master. The charm of the young master is too terrifying, right? 40%. Chapter 193. Don't be nervous, relax, it will be over soon. When Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeyer and others felt speechless, Ziling's information also appeared in front of his eyes, making Xiao Chen's eyes freeze. Ziling. Gender is female, bone age is 38, measurements are 92, 63, and 91. Due to the lack of innate in the Dantian, it is impossible to condense the true essence and activate the purple spirit's sacred veins in the body. If it is possible to repair the Dantian defect, inject innate essence to stimulate the holy veins. Once the purple spirit holy vein is fully awakened, the talent will transform into Saint King level. Looking at the messages that appeared in front of him, Xiao Chen couldn't help but have a look of shock on his face. Purple spirit holy vein. It is said that this is a physique that is possible only if the fetus is accidentally contaminated with a trace of innate purple energy while in the mother's womb. Once the holy veins in the body are fully awakened, not only one's own talents will transform. You can even rely on this wisp of innate purple energy to give yourself a good level of cultivation as soon as you wake up. Compared with Murong Qingshui's Taiyan Xuanxia body, it is only stronger than weak. Even because of the special purple energy of innate, once the physique is awakened, the cultivation level will soar even more. Unexpected. In this little great Qian dynasty, there are actually two women with Saint King qualifications at the same time, but unfortunately they were unable to awaken their physiques due to various reasons. But fortunately, God left a clue and allowed these two women to meet him. As long as you are baptized by him, you will eventually shine again. Sir, why are you looking at me like this? When Xiao Chen felt incredible, Ziling saw Xiao Chen staring straight at her, as if he was very interested in her. This made Ziling feel like there were ants crawling all over her body, and she immediately asked with her face turning red. This Mr. Xiao. Couldn't he be attracted to her? Murong Qingshe, Xiaomeyer and others couldn't help but sigh at this time. It seems that now the two of them are in love with each other, and there will be another sister next. Miss Ziling has a very good foundation. Xiao Chen didn't feel any embarrassment when he heard this, he just smiled and explained. Although you lack innateness in your Dantian, you still possess a certain saint rank constitution. If you can repair your Dantian and activate your physique, if you can grow up in the future, it will not be difficult to break through the saint realm. Wah! What? As Xiao Chen's last two words fell, not only Zikang, Zishuan and others, but also Ziluo, Murong Qingshe and others. There was a roaring sound in everyone's mind. Saint rank physique. The weak woman in front of me, who can only stop at the Kaiyuan realm, actually has a legendary physique that ordinary people can't even imagine. Xiao. Mr. Xiao, my sister-in-law, really has saint rank physique. After taking a deep breath to calm down, Ziluo asked with a trembling voice. Even the person involved, Ziling, was stunned on the spot. Although this kind of thing may be hard to believe, fate is sometimes so wonderful. Seeing the horrified looks on Ziluo and others' faces, Xiao Chen didn't explain much at this time, but just waved his hand towards Ziling. Come over. I will help you repair your Dantian now. You will know soon whether she has a special physique. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Zikang and others were shocked. Although they felt a little ridiculous in their hearts, they did not dare to question it and could only watch the development of the situation patiently. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Ziling walked up to Xiao Chen blankly. At this time, her mind was in chaos, but she still held a faint expectation in her heart. She does not expect to awaken any saint rank physique, as long as Xiao Chen can repair her Dantian so that she can embark on the journey of martial Dao cultivation. This is a great gift to her. Well, there is a picture. Here is a picture of Lu Shen's back. Don't be nervous, relax, it will be over soon. Seeing Ziling walking in front of him, her whole body shaking slightly with nervousness, Xiao Chen smiled and comforted her. Then he also pretended to explode his cultivation, condensing ancient runes one after another. In the eyes of Ziling and others, Xiao Chen pressed directly on Ziling's lower abdomen, which immediately made Ziling scream. After all, the dantian is located. But it is located below the navel, where the female palace is located. This click. Ziling felt very sensitive and almost wanted to push Xiao Chen away. After all, Xiao Chen was the only one who pressed her belly like this in the past 30 years. System, repair her dantian defects. While Ziling's body couldn't help but tremble, Xiao Chen didn't make any small moves and immediately issued repair instructions to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 210,000 points and is repairing Ziling's dantian defects. As the system prompts came down, Xiao Chen's brows raised slightly. He thought it would cost hundreds of thousands of points to repair the physical defects of the Saint King class, but he didn't expect that it would only cost 210,000 points. Is it because Ziling's physique has not yet awakened, so the quality is not that high? Just when Xiao Chen finished his thoughts, a dazzling white light also shone, and Ziling's dantian was instantly repaired. Next moment, after the dantian was restored to its entirety, Ziling's whole body's energy and blood boiled instantly, and a wisp of true energy also appeared in her dantian. Immediately afterwards, just like a wisp of sparks falling into an oil barrel, a terrifying energy wave burst out from Ziling's body. The rich purple energy continued to fill the air, and Ziling let out a low drink at this moment. And the cultivation aura on her body surged at an extremely terrifying speed at this moment. The first level of Kaiyuan, the first level of spiritual aperture, the ninth level of spiritual aperture. In less than half a quarter of an hour, the purple spirit holy vein was completely awakened. Ziling's cultivation directly broke through the two major realms, and finally condensed a purple spinning pill in her dantian. The cultivation base is stable at the first level of Xuandan. Such a horrifying scene made everyone in the wing look dumbfounded. They all looked at Ziling as if they were monsters. Is this the saint rank physique? Breaking through three major realms in half a quarter of an hour. Is this the speed of cultivation that a person can achieve? In the inner shock, the jaws of Zikang, Zixuan and others almost fell to the ground on the spot. Unexpectedly, Ziling really possesses the saint rank physique, and it is also terrifying to the point of shocking the world. Don't be too shocked. The reason why her cultivation has been able to break through the three realms in a row is because there is a ray of innate purple energy in her body. Over the years, although she has been unable to condense the true energy, she must have never stopped practicing. I have been silently tempering the power of qi refining blood, trying to break the limit and enter the path of physical cultivation. Although she failed to break the limit in the end, due to a combination of circumstances, she continued to grow the innate purple energy in her body and laid an indestructible foundation for herself. So, after awakening the purple spirit holy vein, she was able to accumulate a lot of experience and break through several realms in cultivation. Looking at Zikang and others, they were all frightened. Even Murong Qingshe and others had expressions of disbelief, and it seemed that even Dao's heart had been hit to a great extent. Xiao Chen said with a faint smile at this moment. Thank you so much for your great kindness, young master. It is definitely a fate destined by God for my sister-in-law to meet young master in this life. It just so happened that my sister-in-law had made a vow that if anyone could cure her in this life, she would be with him in life and death. And Mr. Xiao, you are not only extraordinary in talent, but you also possess such skills at a young age. You are now an honorary elder of the Chamber of Commerce. If my sister-in-law can follow you in the future, it will be the greatest honor in her life. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Zikang suddenly seemed to be stimulated, and at this moment he spoke in a barrage of words. These words, Xiao Chen couldn't help but be stunned on the spot, and everyone else was dumbfounded. 40%. Chapter 194. Such an elegant and extraordinary demeanor really impressed them. President. Brother. Father. After Zikang said these words, the expressions of Zixuan, Ziling, Ziluo and others changed instantly. Although Ziling said so at the beginning, Xiao Chen has just cured Ziling now. He directly said that he wanted to follow him for a lifetime, and Ziling didn't say it himself. Wasn't it too abrupt? Certainly. This is just the opinion of Ziling and Ziluo. Zixuan, the great elder, is not worried about this the most at this time. It was the Zion Chamber of Commerce that spent so much money to cure Zilling's Dantian and awaken the saint-rank physique. His cultivation soared directly to the first level of Schwanden, and he has almost caught up with his peers. If Zilling is properly cultivated, it won't take more than 10 years to become another celestial human realm powerhouse. The most important point is, Zilling's business ability is also very formidable, and there are few in the Zion Chamber of Commerce who can compare with it. Once Zilling has fully grown up, it will definitely be the leader of the Zion Chamber of Commerce. But now, after Zilling awakened saint-rank physique, Zikang wanted to push her opponent outside. Was his brain pecked by Kun? What are you shouting for? You old boy knows nothing. Do you think Zilling has awakened her saint-rank physique and our Zion Chamber of Commerce can keep her in the future? Seeing Zishuan holding him back with an anxious look on his face, Zikang couldn't help but turn his head and shout. The low voice was not very loud, but it instantly made Zishuan's mind feel like a thunder exploded out of thin air. He hadn't thought about it just now, but now he came to his senses. Zishuan also realized something. Zilling has awakened the saint-rank physique, that's right, and can even break through to the saint realm in the future. But all this is all based on the premise that Zilling can grow up smoothly. Otherwise, even if the saint-rank physique is awakened, without protection, the opponent will be nothing more than a piece of fat. Let's not talk about the major hidden families, let's talk about the royal family who are also in the imperial city. Once he realizes that Zilling has saint-rank physique, he will never let him stay in the Chamber of Commerce safely. Either become the concubine of Emperor Dakion, and then become a furnace and be controlled by the royal family. Or after rejecting the royal family, he will die in an unknown manner from now on. Therefore, Zilling's biggest problem now is whether she can grow up smoothly. The background of Mr. Xiao in front of him is very secret, and Queen Medusa, a powerful person who has entered the Saint Realm, is much stronger than the Chamber of Commerce in terms of means and background. If Zilling and the other party are together, they can basically grow up. When Zilling grows up, the people who used to be Zion Chamber of Commerce will more or less take care of the Chamber of Commerce. I thought that Zikang would be a bit old-fashioned now that he was old, but I didn't expect that he was still so smart. In just a short period of time, I can think of the future, and I am truly worthy of being the president. When Zikang came back to his senses, Ziling and Ziluo also reacted, and their expressions became a little complicated. Certainly, the former was more nervous and shy, and did not even dare to look up at Xiao Chen. It would be so embarrassing if the other party rejected you. Seeing that the atmosphere in front of him became a little awkward, Xiao Chen also felt a little surprised at this moment. Unexpectedly, Ziling would make such an oath, as if God arranged for the other party to wait for him. This love affair is getting more and more outrageous. I didn't expect that Miss Ziling would have such an oath. This is somewhat beyond my expectation. When the thoughts in his heart were turning, Xiao Chen immediately said with a smile. However, an oath is still an oath and cannot be generalized. Whether Miss Ziling wants to follow this young master, the key depends on her inner decision. Although I am not a fool, I will not do anything that makes things difficult for others. So, if Miss Ziling is willing to follow me in the future, I'd better let her think about it before making a decision. After saying these words, Zikang and others were shocked, with strange looks on their faces. To know, Ziling was known as the most beautiful woman in Dakion Imperial City back then, but now she has awakened saint rank and undergone an astonishing physical transformation. Without any exaggeration, even some Saint Realm experts will be greedy for Ziling. If only I knew there was this oath. Maybe other strong men will take advantage of the trend and directly hold Ziling in their hands. How could Ziling not have to make a decision after careful consideration for the oath? Mr. Xiao, however, was not anxious at all and still asked Ziling to think carefully. Such extraordinary magnanimity really impressed them. Seeing that several people's eyes were on her, Ziling became a little embarrassed at this moment. We have only known each other for less than a quarter of an hour, but now we are about to commit ourselves to each other. Such a rapid change in the relationship really made her confused. Well, there is a picture, Queen Medusa's red-haired sweatshirt version, a bit cool. President, there is no way we can stop the visit of several great princes. Just when Ziling took a deep breath and wanted to say, I am willing, a voice came from outside quickly. This made Xiao Chen and others' eyes slightly condensed, while Zikang and others' expressions changed, and they all looked at Xiao Chen. Obviously, the reason why the princes came to the Xian Chamber of Commerce at this juncture is probably because the way Xiao Chen arrived was too impressive, which made these princes want to win over him. However, Xian Chamber of Commerce has always been in the neutral camp, and now several princes came to visit them. If someone fails to stand on the wrong team, I'm afraid the situation in the future will be very troublesome. Sir, what do you think about this matter? When the thought came to an end, Zikang looked at Xiao Chen. After experiencing a series of events just now, even if Zikang can handle the matter, he still has to listen to Xiao Chen's opinion. Well, send them all away. This young master is not interested in fighting for power. Xiao Chen waved his hand after hearing this and said with some lack of interest. Hearing that the visitors were several princes, Xiao Chen knew without thinking that they were just trying to win over him. But the royal children, there is usually a kind of arrogance in the body, and even if you try to win over someone, it will be false, and it may even seem like you are giving him alms. Just like Yang Xiao last time. Although the other party is not a child of the royal family, he is not much different from a child of the royal family. I really have no interest in dealing with these people. Ha ha ha, President Zikang, is there a distinguished guest in the Chamber of Commerce and you want to shut us out? Just when Zikang nodded after hearing this, he was about to send someone to reject these people. As a clear voice came from outside, a young man wearing purple clothes with python patterns broke into the door as if he was entering a deserted place. This person is none other than the second prince of the Great Qian dynasty, Huang Zifeng. He is now 48 years old and has the cultivation level of the third level of universal truth. However, due to his cultivation, he still looks like a young man. Facing this prince's unscrupulous intrusion, some of the deacons and elders of Xian Chamber of Commerce looked aggrieved, but they really didn't dare to stop him. This is the status of the Daqian royal family in the imperial city. As long as it's within the imperial city. With the blessing of the imperial city guard formation and the luck of the imperial path, even if the Daqian emperor is only in the 9th level of heaven and humanity, he can still unleash a power comparable to that of the saint realm. Therefore, even the Xian Chamber of Commerce can sometimes only turn a blind eye to some rude behaviors of the royal children. Second brother is still so arrogant in his behavior. He barged in so domineeringly. Are you not afraid of this distinguished guest? He has a lot of criticism towards you. Just when Zikang and others lowered their eyes slightly and their faces gradually became gloomy. As another voice came in from outside, another young man also came in with someone. 40%. Chapter 195. You could have lived, but why did you seek death? This person. The fourth prince of the Daqian royal family, Huang Xian, is 46 years old today, and his cultivation has reached the first level of universal truth. He is also one of the most likely candidates for the Daqian royal family to compete for the crown prince position. It's been a while since I last saw you. Fourth, you still like hermaphrodites so much. It's really disgusting. After hearing this voice coming from behind, Huang Zifeng tilted his head slightly, glanced at the other party, and immediately sneered and mocked. After saying this, Huang Zifeng turned around and looked at everyone in the wing. After seeing everyone in front of him clearly, his pupils shrank slightly at this moment. Look around. The most eye-catching thing is undoubtedly the beauties, all of them have picturesque faces and very hot figures. What matters in the end is that the hair colors are different. Some have white hair, some have black hair, and some have purple hair. Fortunately, the two sisters, Bai Suxin and Bai Sukin, wanted to avoid attracting too much attention. One uses the heavenly rank treasure to hide the characteristics of the Fox clan, and the other uses the method of blood transformation to hide the characteristics. If not, at this time, I saw two little fox girls among a group of beauties. This prince's eyes almost popped out. Well, there are pictures, here is another one of Lu Shen. Hiss, when did the Xian Chamber of Commerce have so many stunning women appear? Prince Yin walked in from behind and saw the group of beauties in front of him. He couldn't help but think of his father's group of concubines in the palace, all of them looked very good in appearance and figure. Unfortunately, he was now strictly prohibited from entering the harem. Otherwise, he could secretly have a love-hate relationship with the concubines and the stepmother and the rebellious son. Second prince. Fourth prince, this is the VIP reception area of the Xian Chamber of Commerce. You guys barged in so unscrupulously. Do you think you don't take the Xian Chamber of Commerce seriously? Looking at Huang Zifeng and Huang Xian in front of him, Zikang said with a rather gloomy expression. Anyone could tell that he was really angry this time. In the past, in order not to get involved in the struggle for imperial power, Zion Chamber of Commerce always maintained a balance between left and right. I believe that doing more is worse than doing less. But after being humble and courteous for a long time, people looked at him like a weakling. Haha, what President Zikang said is serious. We all regard Zion Chamber of Commerce as our own family, so we didn't inform you when we came in just now. Huang Zifeng laughed loudly when he heard this, and revealed the matter with an understatement. As he spoke, he glanced around the room and finally landed on Xiao Chen in front of him. Xiao Chen looks very young. But with his intuition as a prince for many years, he could keenly feel that the focus in the wing seemed to be on this man. This young master is the honorary elder who broke in from the South City Gate on a demon dragon chariot, right? After taking a look at Xiao Chen, Huang Zifeng immediately smiled. I wonder if the young master can wait. No need. I'm not interested in you dog-eating dog. Before Huang Zifeng finished speaking, he was interrupted by Xiao Chen. The group of them were chatting happily when the two princes suddenly barged in. You are so arrogant and want to win over him. Do you really think that within the great Qian dynasty, every force has to lick the royal family? Dog eat dog. Hearing Xiao Chen's rude words, Huang Zifeng couldn't help but narrowed his eyes slightly, and a cold chill flashed through his eyes. Your Excellency, you know. In this imperial city, just your words may lead to death. If you dare to say that the two princes are like dogs eating dogs, wouldn't you be insulting the Emperor of Dakian in disguise? Speaking so arrogantly, either this person has enough confidence, or he is a little arrogant. The young man in front of me seems to be leaning towards the former. Could it be that this guy comes from a hidden family? Yeah, Xiao Chen raised the corner of his mouth slightly when he heard this, and said in a solemn voice. I only know that, if you two don't get out of here, someone is really going to die. After these words were spoken, a fierce murderous intention spread from Xiao Chen's body. Feeling the killing intent in Xiao Chen, Huang Zifeng's face turned gloomy. But he couldn't figure out the power behind Xiao Chen, so he didn't dare to have an attack on the spot at this moment. I could only stare at Xiao Chen in despair. I didn't expect that the second brother, who has always been able to compete with the eldest brother, would sometimes be frightened and dare not speak. Seeing Huang Zifeng's gloomy look, Huang Zion felt relieved in his heart. Then he looked at Xiao Chen, then raised his hand and handed out a ring. Young master, it is true that we were a little rude just now. The thing in this ring should be regarded as my apology. If you have some free time in the future, you can come and sit in my palace. After saying that, Huang Zion did not stay at this moment and walked straight out of the wing. Since Xiao Chen is disgusted with the two of them, it is impossible to win over them. What he can do now is to value peace. Seeing Huang Zion leaving directly, Huang Zifeng's expression became terrifyingly gloomy. As the second prince, this was the first time that someone had glanced at him like this, which made him deeply remember the Xiao Chen in front of him. Although I don't know what kind of power you come from, I still want you to remember one thing. Always walk by the river. There is no way to lose your shoes. Sometimes, being too conceited is not a good thing. Maybe it will kill the people around you. After saying that, Huang Zifeng glanced at Xiao Meyer and others, and then prepared to walk out of the wing with his entourage. You could have lived, but why did you want to die? Xiao Chen, who originally only had some murderous intent, completely exploded after hearing Huang Zifeng's words. He can tolerate others being rude to him, but he cannot tolerate others threatening him. Especially, he wants to attack the people around him. Boom! Almost as soon as Xiao Chen finished speaking, the space in the wing was shattered like a mirror, and a ferocious monster stepped out of the void. Enter. Enter the Saint Realm strong man. Seeing the monster that suddenly appeared in front of him, Huang Zifeng's expression suddenly changed drastically, and his voice also screamed in horror. Your Excellency, spare your life. I just wanted to remind you, sir, that there is absolutely no threat at all. I am the second prince of the Dakian royal family. If you are in hysterical pleas for mercy. The Five Elements undead corpse puppet let out a low roar, then raised its hand and burst out with a terrifying power. A destructive force. Together with the two powerful celestial human realm experts around Huang Zifeng, they were crushed into a ball of blood mist at this moment. Next moment, the Five Elements undead corpse puppet opened its mouth slightly and swallowed the blood mist directly into its body. Then the figure sank into the broken void and disappeared into the VIP room again, leaving only 3 Na rings floating in the void. This scene, Zikang, Ziluo and others were immediately dumbfounded. I can't think of the young master's side. He actually followed such a terrifying monster and casually crushed Huang Zifeng and others to death. And all this was just because Huang Zifeng said two wrong words in the end. 41%. Chapter 196. After watching in the dark for so long, aren't you going to come out? Hiss, that man actually killed the second child. At the moment when Huang Zifeng died tragically, Prince Yin and others, who had just reached the end of the corridor, noticed the movement coming from the depths of the corridor, and they all turned around with horrified expressions. This unknown young master actually has a strong Saint Realm man by his side. And he killed his second brother without mercy. The second brother who had been against him for decades now died in Xian Chamber of Commerce. This made Huang Xian ecstatic, but at the same time, he also felt a chill on his back. Fortunately, he was walking faster just now. He did not ridicule or provoke this young man, and even gave him an apology gift before leaving. If not, it is still unknown whether he can walk out of the wing alive. Your Highness, stop talking and leave quickly. The two celestial human realm experts who were following Huang Xian swallowed their saliva at this moment and spoke with some fear. However, before the two of them finished speaking, Huang Xian's face changed drastically. He shouted in a low voice, and walked out of Xian Chamber of Commerce without looking back. If such a big thing happened, his father would definitely be alarmed. Next, this will be a place of right and wrong. If he was involved, he would probably lose his life, let alone fight for the crown prince's position. Now we're in big trouble. And in the wing room, smelling the smell of blood wafting in the air. After Zikang, Ziluo and others were shocked, the expressions on their faces instantly became heavy. You must know that Huang Zifeng is the second prince of the Daqian royal family. No matter how he provoked Xiao Chen, he is now dead in Xian Chamber of Commerce. Xian Chamber of Commerce has been implicated. And Xiao Chen has the support of strong men from Saint Realm behind him, so he is not afraid of the revenge of the Daqian royal family. But their Xian Chamber of Commerce is different. If the Daqian emperor becomes angry and uses his imperial power to punish them, there may be a complete breakup. You've been hiding in the dark for so long, aren't you going to come out? Just when Zikang and Zishuan looked heavy and didn't know what to do next, Xiao Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at a void. This sentence fell. The expressions of Zikang and others suddenly changed, and they all looked in front of where Xiao Chen was looking. Next moment, as the void twists slightly, a middle-aged man wearing a purple and gold dragon-patterned emperor's robe with a majestic and stern face also appeared in the wing at this time. Hiss. Your Majesty the Emperor. After seeing this figure in front of them, the expressions of Zikang, Zishuan and others changed drastically. Everyone was so frightened that they wanted to kneel down on the spot. Huang Guang, the Qian Emperor, has been in power for more than 100 years, and his imperial power has frightened all the forces in the dynasty. Moreover, the opponent is also a strong person in the 9th level of heaven and human realm, who can burst out the power of becoming a saint in the Daqian imperial city. If the other party gets into a fight with Xiao Chen here, Xian Chamber of Commerce will suffer a devastating blow. Last night, I dreamed that my ex-girlfriend was pregnant. She said the child was mine and wanted me to divorce my classmate Medusa, which scared me awake. Sure enough, since ancient times, talents have been born in young men. I thought I was hiding well enough, but I didn't expect that I would be seen through easily. When Zikang and others' complexions changed and their expressions became solemn. Huang Guang paid no attention to Zikang and others, but focused his eyes on Xiao Chen. He spoke with some surprise in his voice. I wonder which secluded family the young master is the saint child of. He is so extraordinary that he has reached the nirvana state even at a young age. There are even guardians who have entered the saint realm following him. Apart from the members of the 3 major hidden families in the eastern wasteland, Huang Guang could not think of any other force that could cultivate such evil talents. Hearing Huang Guang's 2 words, he also called him young master. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this, and then said with some humor. I just killed one of your sons. Not only do you have no anger at all, but you also want to get close to me. Follow normal plot development. After this guy was discovered, shouldn't he have taken action on the spot to avenge Huang Zifeng? Now the old guy didn't react at all, as if the person who died just now was not his son at all. Among the royal family, having children is just raising Gu. That traitor is already dozens of years old, and he still relies on his status as a prince. You are so arrogant that you think you can challenge everyone. If you die at the hands of the young master, you will only bring it upon yourself. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Huang Guang replied calmly. Just like him, in order to inherit the throne, several brothers and sisters were killed. He has more than 20 princes and 30 princesses under his knees, and no one knows how many of them have died in various disasters over the years. Now one more death doesn't seem to matter. Of course, the biggest reason why he didn't get angry was because of his strong fear of Xiao Chen. The Saint Realm monster that appeared just now made him feel even more terrifying than the ancestor of the royal family. If it was because of a heir, he would directly attack Xiao Chen. Then his more than 100 years as emperor were really in vain. This young master is just a boy from the mountains who has a little luck. He is not a member of one of the 3 hidden families mentioned by His Majesty the Emperor Qian. Xiao Chen said with some self-deprecation upon hearing this, his eyes flickering slightly at this moment. He is thinking, should we kill Emperor Daqian, and then take action to wipe out the royal family? But behind the Daqian royal family is the Dongyuan Huo family, the strongest among the 3 hidden families in the eastern wasteland, and there are several strong men in the clan who have entered the Saint Realm. As for whether there is a Saint King Realm powerhouse behind him, he is not sure yet. Qian and Lu Ruoxian are both in seclusion now. With the 5 elements undead corpse puppet alone, if the opponent comes to have a few strong men who have entered the Saint Realm, it will be difficult to protect the people around them. Therefore, the risk of destroying the royal family seems a bit high. Not from the 3 great hidden families. After Huang Guang heard this sentence, his eyes flickered at this time. He is not a member of one of the 3 major families, but he is surrounded by strong men from the Saint Realm. Even the chariot and palace, the quality reached Saint rank. This is enough to prove that Xiao Chen's background is extremely terrifying. Even if he is not a member of the 3 major hidden families, he will never be weaker than the 3 major hidden families. Think of this. Huang Guang took a deep breath and immediately dismissed any thoughts that were detrimental to Xiao Chen. A layer of cold sweat broke out behind him. What a terrible young man. This sentence is clearly showing weakness and setting a trap for him, if he shows any murderous intention. Then the other party will definitely take action against him, and even against the Daqian royal family. Ha ha ha, you are so humble. With the young master's background and talents, even if he is not a member of the 3 major hidden families, he is enough to be proud of any force in the eastern wasteland. When the thought came to an end, Huang Guang suddenly laughed. Then he took off a space ring and raised his hand to let it float in front of Xiao Chen. This ring contains 10 million spiritual crystals, as well as some miscellaneous treasures, although they may not be able to catch the eyes of the young master. But just now the treacherous son collided with the young master and almost caused the emperor and the young master to have a fight. It almost pitted the royal family against the young master, and almost caused irreparable losses. As the emperor of Daqian and the father of that rebellious son, I should apologize. With that said, Huang Guang took out another token from his body, raised his hand and let it float in front of Xiao Chen. This is a royal order unique to the royal family. If the young master is willing, I want the young master to become a prince with a different surname in Daqian and directly replace King Zhenan to control the 7 southern states. As these words fell, not only Xiao Chen was stunned on the spot, but also Zikang and others were dumbfounded. A son died. Not only did the Daqian emperor not think about revenge, but he spent a lot of money to win over Xiao Chen. Such an unconventional operation is really not something ordinary people can do. 41%. Chapter 197. It's not difficult to help you break through to Saint Realm, it just depends on your willingness to let it go. As expected of the Emperor of Daqian, with such an emperor's character, he is quite a character. Seeing the ring and token suspended in front of him, Xiao Chen exclaimed inwardly after coming back to his senses. Since ancient times, the most ruthless imperial family. However, Huang Guang could be so ruthless and even go to great lengths to win over him, which surprised him. Certainly, some vigilance also rose in my heart. After all, Huang Guang is completely too afraid of him if he does this to him now. If he shows weakness in the future, or if the other party has a bigger backer, there is no guarantee that they will still take action against him. Therefore, either you can completely control the opponent, or you still have to kill the opponent. When the thought falls, a strange color flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and he immediately made a decision in his heart. I will accept the ring, but please take back the token. I am not interested in being a prince. After a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, Xiao Chen said meaningfully at this time. Do you Want to break through to the Saint Realm? Seeing the token that Xiao Chen waved back, Huang Guang wanted to say something, but then he heard Xiao Chen say this. There was a sudden roar in his mind, and his pupils shrank at this moment. Even Zikang, Zixuan and others looked over with shocked expressions. Mr. Xiao actually wants to help Emperor Daqian break through to the Saint Realm. Hear this sentence. Except for Huang Guang, everyone else present was just horrified and had no doubts in their hearts. Because just a quarter of an hour ago, they saw it with their own eyes. Xiao Chen just pressed lightly on Ziling's lower abdomen, which not only helped him repair his dantian, but also awakened his saint-rank physique on the spot. Therefore, after Xiao Chen said this, Zikang and others had only one reaction, and that was that Huang Guang was just lucky. Sir, can you help me break through to the Saint Realm? Huang Guang took a deep breath, calmed down the fear in his heart, and then looked at Xiao Chen. Enter the Saint Realm. This is the goal that many celestial human realm strong men in the Eastern Wasteland strive for throughout their lives. However, due to the poor spiritual energy in the Eastern Wasteland, it is difficult to produce any Saint rank elixir. Moreover, in the hands of many forces, none of Saint rank's techniques are available, only some residual techniques. Coupled with the limitations of his own qualifications, it is simply as difficult as opening heaven to break through to Saint Realm. Without any exaggeration, not even one of the 10,000 powerful people in the 9th level of heaven and human realm can successfully break through the Saint Realm. This is also the reason why among the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland, there are so few strong people entering the Saint Realm. Certainly, transcendent level forces like the 3 major hidden families in the Eastern Wasteland, which possess Saint rank skills and can cultivate holy medicine, must be excluded. These forces, although there are very few strong people who have entered Saint Realm, with the accumulation of time, there are still quite a few. But that's only for the 3 major hidden families. And he has been trapped in the 9th level of heaven and man for hundreds of years. This time he plans to retreat into the Saint Realm. He has also prepared a bunch of treasures for this purpose. Its value exceeds 20 million spiritual crystals. But even so, his chances of successfully breaking through and entering Saint Realm would not be more than half at most. No, it should be no more than 40%. I dreamed that my ex-girlfriend Lu Shen was frightened and woke up. When I woke up, I saw my classmate Medusa dressed as a maid with cat ears and looking at me longingly. Is this a role play? It's not difficult to help you break through and enter Saint Realm. It just depends on whether you are willing to let it go or not. Xiao Chen raised the corner of his mouth slightly when he heard this, and continued in a low voice. The reason why you are not sure that you can break through is simply because there are some hidden wounds in your body and your qualifications and skills are limited. Although I can't give you the Saint rank technique directly, I can help you repair your hidden injuries and improve your qualifications. It's not that difficult. It still feels a little inappropriate to wipe out the Daqian royal family for the sake of Huang Zifeng. If he can control this great Qian emperor, the entire great Qian dynasty can be used by him. Compared with destroying it directly, the value it can produce is greater. Help me repair my hidden injuries and improve my qualifications. Hearing Xiao Chen's understatement, even Huang Guang, who had been the emperor for more than 100 years, was confused at this moment. His qualification is heavenly rank supreme grade. Otherwise, he would not be qualified to cultivate as a celestial human realm and use the blessing of luck to explode the power of becoming a saint. One more step up to the saint rank level. Even if you enter saint level low grade, the difficulty is unimaginable. Xiao Chen is obviously still so young, but he dares to boast about such a thing. It's useless to talk more. You'll know once you try it. Seeing the disbelief on Huang Guang's face, Xiao Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense and walked directly in front of Huang Guang. Relax and don't resist. After saying these words, Xiao Chen immediately burst into cultivation. There were countless runes lingering around him, and he immediately clicked on them towards Huang Guang. Seeing Xiao Chen's sudden attack, Huang Guang's pupils shrank in an instant, and he subconsciously tried to dodge. But sensing that Xiao Chen had no murderous intent, Huang Guang gritted his teeth but did not dodge. Xiao Chen's cultivation aura is only at the 7th level of nirvana. Such cultivation is among his peers. It can be said that he is a monster that can only be looked up to by others, but he is not a threat to him, a strong man of the celestial human realm. Next moment, Xiao Chen pointed at Huang Guang and directly issued repair instructions to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 38,000 points and is repairing old injuries and hidden diseases for the character Huang Guang. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light immediately shone. Huang Guang felt warm all over his body, which was even better than having a bunch of his concubines naked and oiled walking around on his body. Hiss, all my old injuries and illnesses are really gone. Feeling the changes in his limbs and bones, Huang Guang took a sharp breath at this moment, with a look of horror and disbelief on his face. To know the hidden wounds and old illnesses in his body, countless spiritual crystals have been invested in him over the past few decades. Even if the Dan King Ji Yu Qinghe was invited, there was no way to eradicate his hidden wounds. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen just raised his hand and clicked, and all the hidden wounds and old illnesses disappeared. This kind of treatment method is too shocking, right? And Zikang, Zixuan and others. Although I have seen Xiao Chen repair Ziling's Dantian before. But at this moment, Xiao Chen raised his hand to help a strong celestial human realm man repair his old injuries and diseases. There was still a storm in their hearts, and there was also a strong excitement in their hearts. They have cultivated to the celestial human realm level and have experienced countless battles over the years. It is inevitable that there are some hidden injuries in the meridians in their bodies. If you can ask Xiao Chen to help them repair it, this is a great opportunity. Thinking of this, Zikang, Zixuan and others were all excited, and looked at Xiao Chen with extremely hot eyes. Sir, this is really amazing. How on earth did you do it? When Zikang, Zixuan and others were filled with excitement, Huang Guang looked at Xiao Chen with trembling eyes and asked in a rushed voice. You don't need to know how I did it, you just need to know, what I said is true. Xiao Chen just said calmly after hearing this. By improving this guy's goodwill towards him, Huang Guang can dispel Huang Guang's wariness towards him. Certainly, just relying on the system contract to increase his favorability is not enough. After all, he killed the other party's son. In case this guy has hatred in his heart, the favorability base is almost zero. Even with the system contract increase, he feels that it is not unconservative. So next, you should fool this guy and plant the soul mark of life and death in secret. 41%. Chapter 198. Although one son died, this wave was a huge profit. What the young master said is absolutely true. Hearing Xiao Chen's rude answer, Huang Guang was not only not angry at all at this time, but was actually so excited that it was hard to calm down. Being able to easily cure his old injuries and illnesses was beyond his scope of cognition. Therefore, Huang Guang now believed that Xiao Chen could help him break through. If he doesn't seize this opportunity well in the future, it can only be said that he has been treated like a dog for more than 100 years. Sir, I wonder what price this emperor has to pay. After taking a deep breath to suppress his inner excitement, Huang Guang asked in a serious voice. If Xiao Chen wanted him to be a slave or to play with his woman and daughter, he would have to think carefully. I need a lot of resources and items, whether they are heavenly materials, earthly treasures or mysterious weapon arrays, even if they are incomplete or damaged. As much as you can take out, I will ask for it. This is related to the quality of your next marrow cleansing and vein cutting. Xiao Chen replied calmly after hearing this. As the leader of the great Qian dynasty, he should have a lot of things on him, even in the treasury of the palace. A large number of resource items are also stored. If you can earn 70% to 80%, you will have millions of points. Resource items. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Huang Guang's eyes flashed. Then he gritted his teeth, took off 2 more Na rings from his body, and then made them float in front of Xiao Chen. Sir, these 2 rings are my entire wealth. This ring contains some high-level elixirs and spiritual materials, which I plan to use to enter the Saint Realm. The other Nai ring stores some mysterious weapons and formation discs that I have collected over the years. Certainly, this is not the entire net worth of the Dakian royal family, but only 90% of the net worth of his emperor. After all, Xiao Chen had already lost a lot of resource crystals just now. Now he is reluctant to use so many resources, which has almost reached the limit of what he can bear. Xiao Chen just smiled lightly when he heard this. Of course, he wouldn't believe that this was all his net worth, but he didn't say anything at this time. Just taking the 2 Na rings, the soul thought penetrated into them at this time. In the 2 Na rings, there are not only 1 to 20 million spiritual crystals, but also a lot of treasures. Although these treasures are not piled up like mountains, each one is of extremely high grade. All of them are heavenly rank treasures, and there are no items below earth rank. Leave aside the spiritual crystal. These resources and items alone are worth more than 30 million. He really deserves to be the emperor of Dakion. He is richer than King Zhenan just by possessing some wealth. It turns out that Medusa's classmate gave me a favor early in the morning and asked me to take her to a hot spring. Later, she even changed into a swimsuit, but I felt that the dress looked too small. Well, sincerity is okay. After scanning the 2 rings with his soul mind, Xiao Chen was not in a hurry to recycle them. He just focused his attention on Huang Guang. Relax your mind and remember not to resist no matter what strange feeling you have. Otherwise, this time the marrow cleansing and vein cutting will be in vain. When the words fell, Xiao Chen's cultivation broke out again at this moment, and his hands formed a seal at this time. The sea of consciousness within the body vibrated, and the soul seals of life and death condensed in the sea of consciousness. When an ethereal soul aura erupted, Xiao Chen also pointed at Huang Guang's eyebrows at this moment. Because of his previous experience, Huang Guang was a little confused at this time as to why he aimed at the center of his eyebrows this time. But at this time, he didn't have time to think about it, he just subconsciously relaxed his mind. With the click of his fingertips, Xiao Chen also issued instructions. Ding! The system has deducted 180,000 points and is improving the talent of character Huang Guang. In that burst of dazzling white light, Huang Guang felt a roar in his mind, and the familiar mysterious power poured into his body. It made him feel as if he was about to ascend, and even his soul consciousness went blank for a moment. And at this same moment, after Huang Guang let go of all his thoughts, the soul seal of life and death also entered the opponent's sea of consciousness and completely integrated with the opponent's soul body. From now on, Huang Guang's life and death are all under Xiao Chen's control, and the other party is not aware of it at all. As long as the caster lets go of his mind, the soul mark will instantly merge into the sea of consciousness. Directly attached to the true spirit of the soul body, it can fundamentally destroy the opponent. Unless Xiao Chen uses the method of divine surrender, it will be difficult for the other party to notice that the soul body and spirit have been controlled. This is the abnormality of the soul seal of life and death. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen's current soul strength is not as strong as saint rank, and he is still unable to control many beings stronger than him. At present, he has controlled the 5 elements undead corpse puppet and the 2-headed demonic dragon puppet. If he wants to control other high-level powerful people, he should not be able to control more than 5 fingers. Therefore, unless necessary, the soul seal of life and death cannot be used casually. Ha ha ha, is this the secret of entering Saint Realm? I finally realized it. Not long after the soul seal of life and death merged into the true spirit of the soul body, Huang Guang also came back to his senses from that blank state. Feel the transformation of your own talent. The aura of the surrounding world has become more intimate, and even the laws that were previously inaccessible seem to have broken through the film at this time. A brand new understanding of the world came to mind in an instant. This made Huang Guang laugh wildly, and his body glowed with purple gold light. The luck of the dynasty was boiling at this moment, and the entire Dakion imperial city was instantly trembling. Such a terrible movement suddenly occurred, which also alarmed all the powerful people in the imperial city. Everyone looked at the Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters in shock, with a look of shock and disbelief on their faces. His Majesty Qian Huang broke through to the Saint Realm. Everyone took a deep breath as they watched the imperial city's luck condense in the sky, evolving into a purple gold dragon shadow. Unexpectedly, when the ancestor of the Dakion royal family was dying, this generation of Dakion emperors would still break through and enter the Saint Realm. Could it be that God blessed Dakion and planned to let it prosper for another 2,000 years? Only, Emperor Dakion broke into Saint Realm. Why was he at the Xian Chamber of Commerce headquarters? Shouldn't it be in the inner courtyard of the palace? Young master, I will go to the Thunder Tribulation and hold a big banquet for you in the palace when I come back. Feeling the thunder rolling outside, the tribulation energy has locked onto him. After Huang Guang said something to Xiao Chen enthusiastically, his body distorted the space and disappeared directly into the wing. Unexpectedly, following Xian Chamber of Commerce secretly this time would actually give him a chance. Let him finally get his wish and reach the level of Saint Realm. Although one son died, this wave was a huge profit. It was really not in vain for him to waste half a quarter of an hour to launch this traitor into this world. This traitor deserved his death. I created a strong man who entered the Saint Realm with just a raise of his hand. Could it be that the young master is the reincarnation of the supreme power? Seeing Huang Guang's figure disappearing into the wing, Zikang and others began to speculate in their hearts. If they could also use some resource items. In exchange for Xiao Chen repairing their hidden wounds and baptizing them once, they will all hope to break through to the Saint Realm in the future. Think of this. Zikang and Zixuan were breathing rapidly and looked at Xiao Chen longingly. Son. But, just when Zikang took a deep breath and walked up to Xiao Chen and was about to speak, the communication token on Xiao Chen's waist suddenly lit up. A message also entered his mind, causing Xiao Chen's expression to change suddenly. 41%. Chapter 199. Xiao Chen's murderous intent suddenly emerges, the snake tribe's glimmer of hope. Something happened to the snake people. The strong men of the Mo family in Hengshan led the Sirius dynasty to prepare a blood sacrifice to the snake people. I can only leave the seclusion early and go to the snake people. I hope that the young master will be careful during this time. In just 2 words, Xiao Chen's face instantly turned gloomy, and a horrifying murderous intent filled the air. The temperature in the wing instantly dropped to freezing point. The expressions of Zikang, Zixuan and others changed dramatically, and they thought they had provoked Xiao Chen somewhere. As for Morong Qingshe, Michelle Yeoh and others, their pretty faces couldn't help but change. This is their first time. The killing intent felt in Xiao Chen was hundreds of times stronger than before. Sir, what happened? Feeling panic and uneasiness in her heart, Morong Qingshe gritted her teeth and asked. Something happened to the snake people. The refining beast fire of Cayenne came out of seclusion early, and it must have suffered backlash. We must rush to the snake people now. After hearing Morong Qingshui's words, Xiao Chen said with a heavy voice. While talking, the space around Xiao Chen suddenly tore open, and the 5 elements undead corpse puppet appeared in the wing again. A burst of 5-element light condensed with black energy instantly turned into a barrier and enveloped Xiao Chen, directly cutting off the perception of Zikang and others. Then Xiao Chen took out a fragment of the space array disk and at the same time issued repair instructions to the system in his heart. Previously, I had exhausted all my points. Therefore, Xiao Chen did not have any extra spatial array disks on him, so he was in a hurry and could only repair one temporarily. Ding! The system has deducted 150,000 points and is repairing the space array disk for the host. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. The fragment of the space array disk immediately evolved into a complete array disk. Master, seeing the 5 elements light shrouding it, he seemed to be leaving in a hurry. Zikang and others, as well as Morong Qingshe and his party, were all shocked. The former is worried that Xiao Chen will suddenly leave and not know when he will come back. If Xiao Chen doesn't come back in the future, wouldn't they miss the opportunity? The latter thought that Xiao Chen's trip was to go to the Snake Clan alone and leave the group of them at the Xian Chamber of Commerce. So everyone was a little panicked. This is a saint-level space array disk. You guys need to find a place to inlay it. The next time I come to Xian Chamber of Commerce, I will be able to teleport directly through the formation disk. When everyone exclaimed, the colorful barrier suddenly dispersed. Xiao Chen threw the formation disk to Zikang and said straight to the point. Enter. Enter the saint-level space array. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Zikang couldn't help but exclaimed, and hurriedly caught the space array disk. Unexpectedly, this young master actually has such a treasure, and his background is simply endless. Let's go. After explaining these 2 sentences, Xiao Chen said something to Morong Qingshe and others, and the 5 elements undead corpse puppet immediately received the order. Then his cultivation burst out and tore apart the space, taking Morong Qingshe and others into it and appearing directly in the double-headed dragon chariot. After a burst of dragon roars resounded, Xiao Chen burned hundreds of thousands of spiritual crystals at this moment to activate the Saint King level space array on the chariot. Because there are no spatial coordinates for the snake tribe, Xiao Chen cannot teleport there all at once. But after this array plate is embedded on the chariot, it can also give the chariot the ability to jump in space. Even if the 2-headed demon dragon puppet is currently only at the 9th level of heaven and human realm, its explosive speed is far higher than that of some strong men who have entered the saint realm. The reason why he wanted to bring Morong Qingshe and others was because he was a little worried about leaving them behind. What if he leaves with the 2-headed demon dragon puppet and the 5-element undead corpse puppet? If something unexpected happened here suddenly, and he couldn't get away from the snake people, some tragedy would probably happen. So just to be on the safe side, it would be safer for these women to follow him. Master, seeing Xiao Chen and his party leaving like this, Zikang, Ziling and others all exclaimed. Especially Ziling, who looked lonely. Xiao Chen stayed in the Chamber of Commerce for less than half an hour, and unexpectedly left in such a hurry. Before she could even say, I do, this kind of accident happened again. The next time Xiao Chen comes back, she must seize the opportunity and become the other person's woman. After all, an oath cannot be broken and a young master cannot live up to it. At my suggestion, classmate Medusa changed into a swimsuit and wanted to fight with me in the hot spring. It was unreasonable. I don't do domestic violence. The other side. Endless desert. Snake people. A sudden disaster swept across the entire ethnic group in an instant. Mo Zan, the Saint Realm powerhouse of the Hengshan Mo family, leads many powerhouses in the Sirius dynasty. With lightning speed, they directly attacked the Snake tribe. It took almost less than a quarter of an hour to wipe out one of the snake tribes. The entire tribe of snakemen were crushed into a ball of blood mist and swallowed by a huge coffin. Before his death, the leader of the Viper tribe informed other tribes with the secret method of the Viper tribe. Only then did the entire snake clan know that something had happened. The heads of the other 7 tribes immediately let the tribe take refuge underground in the endless desert, and they led the tribe to rush to Tian Serpent City. There is the royal city of the snake people. It is also the core inheritance place of the entire snake people. The place where Queen Medusa has held the royal power for generations is also the place where the snake people have the strongest defense. Hurry up and activate the heavenly snake formation. The queen is already on her way. No matter what, we must hold on until the queen arrives. After the chiefs of the other 7 tribes arrived, Mu Lin, the high priest of the snake tribe's royal city, also roared and shouted at this moment. Almost as the words echoed, Mu Lin was the first to burst out with his cultivation, and his cultivation at the 9th level of heaven and human realm swept away, and he formed a series of seals with his hands. Then it turned into a beam of light and sank into a snake man statue. The chiefs of several other major tribes also took up their positions in the square. During the burst of cultivation, the power of true energy was poured into the square below. Even the many powerful snake people around them activated their cultivation formations at this time. The eyes of the huge snake man statue suddenly lit up at this moment. A brilliant 7-colored light continued to spread out from the void, and immediately turned into a huge protective shield covering the entire royal city. This snake-human venerable statue is the totem of the snake people. Queens of Medusa in the past generations would pour their entire lives into this statue before they felt their lifespan was running out. Coupled with the formation and activation of this power, it can not only condense the protective barrier to protect the royal city, but can even condense the colorful sky-swallowing python totem. It explodes with power that far exceeds that of the celestial human realm, enough to rival some strong men in the saint realm. This was also the case over the years. Without the strong men of the 3 hidden families taking action, the Sirius dynasty could not completely destroy the snake tribe and control the reason why the endless desert entered Dakion. But now, it is the strong men of the Mo family in Hengshan who lead the team to destroy the snake people, even if the heavenly snake formation can briefly burst out the power of the saint realm. I'm afraid it's hard to compete with it. They just want. This formation can last a little longer until Queen Medusa arrives. By then, with Queen Medusa having already broken through to the strength of the Saint Realm, there will be a glimmer of hope to lead the snake tribe through this disaster. Almost as soon as the heavenly snake formation enveloped the royal city, a black cloud appeared in the distance and rolled in like a tsunami. Wherever you go, the endless desert rolls up with dust storms all over the sky. That horrifying scene was enough to make people feel numb, and it also caused the expressions of Mu Lin and many branch clan leaders to change dramatically. 41%. Chapter 200. Let her get out and kneel down to surrender. Maybe the snake people will still have a seed. Prepare to defend to the death. Seeing the black clouds and the sandstorm approaching rapidly, Mu Lin couldn't help shouting loudly as his pupils shrank violently. And almost as soon as his words came out, the sky was swept by a sandstorm. A 5-foot-tall wolf-shaped monster with a pair of wings on its back and a silver luster all over its body was dragging a huge palace chariot. They kept approaching Tian Snake City. And behind this wolf chariot, there are also wolf-shaped monsters. Although they are smaller in size than the Wolf King pulling the cart, the aura emitted by each one is also very terrifying. Many of them have even reached the celestial human realm level, and most of the others are above the universal truth realm late stage. And on the back of each wolf beast, there were armored figures sitting. Even at the very rear, a blood-colored coffin nearly 10 feet long, exuding a terrifying undead aura, continued to approach Tian Serpent City as the wolf pack troops continued to approach. The entire coffin was even locked with chains, as if there was some terrifying monster sealed inside. And above the coffin board, there was a man sitting cross-legged. This person is none other than an elder who entered the saint realm, Mo Zan, sent by the Mo family in Hengshan. His cultivation has reached the astonishing 5th level of saint realm. Among the dozen or so saint realm elders of the Hengshan Mohist family, their strength can be considered to be at the middle to upper level. It's the Sirius Emperor and his Sirius bodyguards. This guy actually leads a military expedition in person. When the sandstorm in the sky approached 10 miles away from Tien Serpent City, Mulin and others also saw clearly the group of people in the sandstorm. Immediately he lost his voice in some horror. Sirius Emperor. A demonic figure with the bloodline of Silver Moon Sirius, who rose from humble beginnings to overthrow the previous dynasty. It took less than 200 years. Later, he was favored by the Mohists of Hengshan. Not only did they not pursue him for subverting the dynasty, they even allowed him to rule this territory. Then under the guidance of the Hengshan Mohists, Emperor Tianlong was 280 years old. Successfully broke through to the Saint Realm level. After a few decades, the Sirius Emperor wanted to destroy the snake people and enter the endless desert. Unexpectedly, the ancestor Dakion was still at his peak at that time, and the two of them started a brutal fight in the endless desert. Emperor Tianlong was eventually defeated and retreated, and Emperor Dakion was also injured as a result. And in the next few hundred years, since the three major hidden families are in a balance of power, the Sirius Emperor does not dare to step into the endless desert again. Until more than 300 years ago, Emperor Tianlong broke through to the 2nd level of sainthood, and with the permission of Hengshan Mohist family. Once again, he led the team into the endless desert, hoping to destroy the snake-human invasion of the Great Qian dynasty. I didn't expect Queen Medusa from the previous generation. He actually burned his life essence to fight for his life, and combined with the inheritance left by the snake people, he directly injured the Sirius Emperor. Later, when he was concerned about the existence of the ancestors of the Dakion royal family, Emperor Tianlong stopped and exited the endless desert. That's why the previous generation of Queen Medusa reigned for less than 200 years, but in the end she could only meet a tragic end, leaving behind the spirit snake eggs that were still hatching in the blood pool of her ancestral land. It is also the current Queen Medusa, and the sister who seems to be dead. Now the Sirius Emperor has made a comeback for the 3rd time. Looking at this terrifying posture in front of me, the snake people are going to be completely destroyed. It's this damn protective shield again. While Mulin and others were in shock, Emperor Tianlong stood on the chariot palace, looking at the colorful light curtain covering the entire Tien Serpent City. Thinking of his past 2 defeats, a chill appeared in his eyes. Break it, almost as soon as the order came down. The 3,000 heavenly wolf guards roared, and each one of them reached their highest level of cultivation, and in an instant they swung a sword light on top of the wolf rider. Even the Sirius monster beneath them roared at this time. The silver demonic essence turned into a torrent and also blasted towards the formation light curtain. Hold it. Seeing that the Sirius Emperor had no nonsense at all, he immediately ordered an attack on them. Mulin roared with a mad burst of cultivation, and his true energy continued to sink into the square below. The other strong men of the snake tribe also pushed their cultivation to the extreme. As if the real energy was free of money, it turned into a torrent and submerged into the square below. Boom. As one after another attacks landed on the formation light screen, ear-splitting roars resounded throughout this desert oasis. The formation light curtain formed by the heavenly snake formation was trembling violently at this moment. Some strong snake men with low cultivation level were counterattacked at this moment, and they couldn't help but spurt out a mouthful of blood. Even the snake's tail underneath him was constantly trembling. They are indeed the personal guards of the Sirius Emperor. Only the first wave of attacks has such terrifying power. If you attack with all your strength from behind, without the heavenly serpent formation presided over by Queen Medusa, I'm afraid it won't be able to survive the attack for long. What a sin. After my request was rejected, classmate Medusa actually complained to her mother. Looking at this former class teacher and now mother-in-law, she is still very charming. Where's Queen Medusa? The Sirius Emperor glanced around Tien Serpentis City. When he didn't see Medusa, his words echoed like thunder from the sky. Let her get out and kneel down to surrender. Maybe the snake people will still have a seed. Being fatally wounded by Queen Medusa of the previous generation became a shame in his heart. Now he's making a comeback. Even if the previous generation of Queen Medusa had died suddenly, this generation of Queen Medusa would still have to surrender under his crotch. Only by enduring his humiliation day and night can we repay the karma of the previous generation. Faced with the humiliation of the serious emperor, Mulin and the others did not speak a word, but silently used their cultivation to maintain the formation. If the other party knew that Queen Medusa was not here, they would definitely attack the opening heaven snake formation without hesitation. Therefore, if you don't answer at this time, you may be able to delay it for a while. When this thought fell, the serious guards once again roared and exploded with divine ability, and the divine ability attacks turned into torrents and bombarded them continuously. The colorful protective light curtain was twisted and cracked with tiny cracks. In the square, strong men from the snake tribe kept spitting blood and falling to the ground. The colorful light erupting from the snake man statue also began to dim at this time. After all, the power left by the previous Medusa queens was limited. Every time you use a little bit, you will get a little less. Even if you have accumulated enough before, it will slowly be consumed until it is exhausted. Since Queen Medusa refuses to show up, then you humble bugs should all become sacrifices for adults. Soul thoughts spread wildly. After not noticing the figure of Queen Medusa, the serious emperor spoke solemnly at this moment. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand slightly on the chariot. A destructive cultivation aura erupted like a volcano. The pressure of entering the third level of the saint swept across the world, causing the expressions of Mulin and others to change drastically. Immediately afterwards, without any unnecessary movement, the heavenly wolf emperor waved lightly downwards, and the sky above Tien Serpent City suddenly changed. A giant claw of 100-foot-long heavenly wolf, like a world-destroying hand, tore downwards and blasted down. Every inch of space exploded, making Mulin and others look desperate. It's over. Feeling that the serious emperor was far more terrifying than 300 years ago, and that his cultivation had broken through to the third level of the saint, Mulin and others closed their eyes in despair. Unexpectedly, the snake people have been living in the endless desert for thousands of years. Not only has the wish to escape the endless desert failed to come true, but now it seems that even the bloodline cannot be passed on. And just when many snake people looked desperate, that snake man statue, as if new power was injected from the air, his eyes burst out with dazzling 8-color light. His eyes burst out with dazzling 8-color light. His eyes burst out with